Hello, and welcome to this special episode of Amazing Spider-Man Podcast. We are not an Amazing Spider-Man Podcast. We are the Amazing Spider-Man Podcast. Joining me today for this very special episode of the podcast, we have Mr. James Markin. How's it going, James?
Hey, guys.
We missed you on our last episode, which we recorded about 2 days before this, but what you been up to this week, man?
It's been a very strange week, as you could say. First, my great uncle died last weekend, so yesterday we had the funeral, so we had that going on. That was, it was really heartbreaking and sad, and I missed, or he's missed. And we also had as everybody knows, me being a huge Power Ranger fan, we had certain movie news that happened. So I've been covering that in AGR and all the shitstorm that's already coming by it because people are fearing that Michael Bay will be involved in it.
Yes. But also today for the panel, we have a very, very special guest. This guy was around in our very first episode of the original Spider Nerd podcast. And I gotta say, without this guy, I'm pretty sure this podcast would not exist. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Ed Jones.
Hello, I'm the other one.
Yes, I wanted to introduce you last because you're kind of like the special guest, so...
I'm privileged. Thank you very much.
Yes, we haven't talked to you in, man, I don't know what it's been, 7 months, 8 months since we started this podcast together. What you been up to?
So, I'm tired. In the 7 months I've been watching a lot of films lately. I've been to the cinema so many times, and I saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I saw the first one again last week, just so I can get some clarification for the podcast. But, yep, I'm ready, and I'm still very, very sick of this franchise.
Yes, Ed has given it away. We're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2 this week. This is the podcast that everyone has been waiting for, and the podcast that has been so hard to schedule because we've had to reschedule it like 3 times. So ultimately we finally got everyone together for this podcast, and we will be covering the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. It came out on May 2nd here in the US. When did it come out in the UK?
April 16th.
April 16th. So Ed saw this movie like a month ago.
Yeah.
And James and I just saw it a week ago. So we have a little bit more of a fresh perspective, but I'm sure Ed's seen it again in between now and then.
Oh no, I saw it once, but it's sunk in pretty deep.
Oh gosh. That's never a good sign.
No.
All right. But here we go with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie discussion. I don't really know where to start with this. But I know Ed has a long list worth of stuff. He gave us a little preview before the show, 4 pages worth of bullet points. But I think what I want to do right now is, first off, before we talk about the movie itself, I think I want to get everyone's sort of pre-movie perspective on the film. So, like, what you thought of it before you saw it, what you thought going into the film. And I think, Ed, since you're the guest, we're going to start with you. We're just going to dive right in. What were you kind of anticipating going into this film?
Well, as you know, I didn't care for the first one. And I knew this franchise from the beginning was just going to either fail or fail with style. Like everything I see, I always go in with a fresh perspective. I mean, the first one colored my perspective on the franchise as a whole. But as usual, I saw the trailers and it looked pretty. It looked very colorful, and the action scenes looked pretty decent. And I thought, maybe it won't be that bad. I got to go in with an open mind. I wanted to walk out like 3 times.
Oh, jeez.
But I thought, no. I was like, no, it's not going to get the better of me. And to make it even worse, like I got there pretty early, actually. I got there like 30 minutes early, and it was packed, as you can imagine, because it came out. Because I think they pushed the release back by 2 days, I think, in the UK. So I think everyone went to see it on the weekend. And I got there, and I was in like the 4th row from the front, so my neck was looking up at the screen, my neck in pain, and I sat there for 2.5 hours watching this film that I did not like, and I wanted to walk 3 times. So, but as usual, I was like, no, open mind. Maybe it won't be that bad.
All right, James, what was your kind of pre-theater experience, and then what was your experience when you got to the theater?
I had high hopes because I did like the first movie, and from what I could tell, like you could tell by the podcast, I was really excited, and I thought that I liked a few things. When I got there, similar to him, I got there early, and even then that wasn't enough. It kind of died down because they had simultaneously the 2D and the 3D showing, so the crowd kind of went like half off. Like, one went one direction, one went the other. But for the most part, I remember sitting there at the movie theater and actually kind of enjoying myself. I went with my brother and sister because it was like my parents' anniversary, and to give them like a romantic night to themselves, we went and see the movie. So, and we all three liked it, and I didn't think it was a waste. In fact, during that 2 hours, I felt like it was too short almost because it was like, wow, it's already been 2 hours and the movie's done. Wow, that went by fast.
All right. My pre-theater experience, and I wrote a full front page article on the front page of the website, so a lot of people know my opinion on the movie already. I think I said in my review that I went into this movie kind of skeptical because while I did really like the first movie, I was like, okay, we got a new team of writers, we've got 3 villains, and we've got all this stuff going into this movie. Can they pull it off? And I thought to myself, it's been documented pretty well on this podcast that, yes, I was excited for Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I've been trying to keep the skeptical side of it to myself because I don't want to, really get people down about it or think, oh, Jonathan's the negative guy. But, I really was kind of skeptical about this movie, and when I saw it, I thought, I'm going to go into this, and all I'm going to ask for is that it's a good movie. That's really all I can ask for. And if it's a good movie, then, you know what, I'll be personally happy. When I got to the theater, I got there about an hour early, and I actually have a weird story. I got to the theater, and they were playing Spider-Man 1 from Sam Raimi in the lobby. And first of all, that was awesome. I absolutely love the fact that they were playing that. And it was me, and I met up with this other guy who, I'd never met him before, but he was wearing a Spider-Man shirt. And so I went up to him and I said, "You're seeing Spider-Man, aren't you?" And he's like, "Damn right I'm seeing Spider-Man." So we both walk into the theater together. And the thing was, there was still another movie playing, so we both walked in with, huge buckets of popcorn, and everyone just looks at us, and we were just like, what the hell? And then we realized, oh shit, we're an hour early. And then it was weird. But that's kind of my funny theater experience, I guess you could call it. Either of you have any funny experiences in the theater?
I do, if I can go a little bit first. Because it's a really short story. They were selling the official movie T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
And during the trailers, this poor lady, is going back and forth. The crowd is packed, and nobody wanted to pay $25 for the T-shirt. And you gotta imagine, okay, the movie tickets, big movie premiere, 10:30. 3D showing, that's about $30 there for me, my brother and sister. Add on the other $30 that went to the snacks, $25 for a T-shirt was out of the question. And pretty much everybody agreed at me as they booed her and tried to,
oh, please tell me they were throwing food at her.
Yeah, they were doing that, and this one guy ripped her off by claiming that he had the money right now, but he didn't have the thing to break the change yet. So, but he had enough to give her $5 now, and then if she came back after the movie, magically he was going to be able to break the change. And the girl was just so excited to get one T-shirt sold. She got so excited and said, "Okay," and I'm sure that guy probably walked out and got $5 for a $25 T-shirt.
What a dick! But honestly, if she was stupid enough to believe that, she had that coming.
Yeah.
But Ed, any funny theater experiences?
Actually, yes, yeah, there was actually. It was I think it was actually during the film. Actually, I was sat in my seat, my neck broken practically, and I was suffering. I think it was like halfway through the film, I think. And I was actually, it was actually very crowded. There was nobody on my row, luckily, surprisingly, actually. Everyone was like behind me. There was this mum and this mother and her kid came in. I think it was maybe about 10 minutes in, and they sat down like at the end of my row. And I think like halfway through the film, I was sat there just like in pain. And then this kid, it was the most adorable thing I've ever heard in my life. Actually made the whole screening worth it. Like halfway through, like he goes, "Mom, where's the rhino?"
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go to him. I know, right? Where's the rhino? And I think this kid, like, he sounded like really emotional. He must love the rhino or something. I was like, okay, that's really sad.
And the poor thing is that kid only knows the mechanized armored suit version of the rhino, probably. He probably doesn't know the classic Ramita Sr. version.
Well, I actually would just love to pay to see the rhino from the Spider-Man PS1 game. Just a guy in a suit.
The one where he was the most easiest guy to be in the game because all you had to do was duck every time he ran into the electrical system or whatever it was.
Yeah, that game kicked ass. I love that game.
Yes, that actually makes...
That's got to be my favorite Spider-Man game of all time.
I think my favorite's probably Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, but...
Oh, that game's awesome.
It rocks.
Yeah, I like that one too.
That actually makes me think of another theater experience of me wanting to rip the heads off of some 3-year-old kids who were... the moment Electro showed up on screen, they had the exact same reaction, except they were screaming it every 5 minutes after that. And so, by about the 4th time they screamed it, I was like, shut up! I was like, the rhino will be here eventually! I didn't say anything to him, but under my breath, I just kept saying, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to enjoy this movie. And then eventually, and the dad that was with, because it was a group of like 3 boys, the dad that was with them did nothing to calm them down. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I got another story. Okay, so right before the trailer started, because they were doing the whole first look stuff, and all the first look ones were like the Spider-Man 2 stuff. Like they were probably thinking, okay, we'll burn for all these old Spider-Man 2 first look, featurettes, and to get people pumped for the movie because it's the premiere or whatever. So they're playing. So I said, okay, me and my brother went to go get the popcorn and the candy and the drinks and stuff like that for our sister. And so we come back, and I noticed this guy sitting in not the front row, but kind of the second row, and he's wearing a classic 1980s Ninja Turtle t-shirt. I said, oh, that's cool. The guy's wearing a Turtle t-shirt. The Ninja Turtle trailer plays. Okay, it's like one of the last ones. I think it was the last trailer to play for the movie. Sorry. The guy cheers after seeing it, gets up, and walked out of the movie theater.
Really? I've seen that Ninja Turtle trailer.
He's like, oh no! And then he gets to the faint part, and he's like, oh yeah, yeah! And then he just got up quietly after that, after he clapped for it, and then he just walked out the door. It's like, that's all he can say. He wasted $10 for a 2-minute trailer of a movie that looks like it could be crap.
That's just the American way.
Has he not heard of YouTube?
All right. But I guess if no one else has any funny okay. If no one else has any funny theater experiences, I guess we can start diving into this movie here. We got a lot to talk about with this movie, and I think before we go too in depth with the film, I think I want to get just maybe a 2-3 minute just kind of little summary of everyone's thoughts on it. Kind of like, James, how we do with the comics. We kind of give our thoughts, pros, cons, and then our grade. And I guess then we can move into some talking points. I think we'll start with James here. James, you mentioned on our, not our last podcast, but your last podcast, you thought this was the best Spider-Man movie ever. So how many times have you seen it up to this point? And has your opinion changed since you gave that first impression?
Yeah, I only saw it like one more time after that. but and it was like a few days ago. I want to say maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, and it did kind of change because now because first night was geek fanboy, oh my god, it's Spider-Man in the big screen again. It's like when I was 12 with the first movie, the first Raimi one, all over again. But this one, I got to sit back and just watch it and see it as a movie that it is. I still think it's one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, but I noticed now a few things. Where I know they could have went a lot longer with Electro, and they could have cut out a few things here and there. And of course, now with the Norman scene with the head, oh god, I wish they would have had that instead of the X-Men thing.
Oh gosh, that's an interesting statement. I don't think anyone else I have ever heard say that, because I'm pretty sure most people don't like that scene with the Norman head. But we'll talk about that when we talk about Norman Osborn. But anything else, James? Like, what are your overall thoughts on the film?
My overall thoughts are pretty much that I did like it. I thought that, like I said, it's one of the best Spider-Man movies, if not the best. There were some cons, but it's a 2.5-hour movie, so that's going to happen. Odds are nothing's perfect. But I felt like that the pros outweighed the cons personally for me.
All right, so what would you give it as a grade?
I would give it an A.
All right. Now, I'll go next because I know Ed's probably going to talk for a little bit longer than James and I are. So I think we'll just get the two quicker ones out of the way first. I've seen this film 4 times as of today.
Holy shit.
Yes, 4 times in less than 10 days.
What? Jesus.
And I'm not done either. I plan to go at least one more time.
You just made Ed lose the faith in humanity. You know that, right?
But I've seen this film 4 times. I saw it advanced screening the night before it came out. I saw it the day it came out, and then I saw it this past Thursday, and then I saw it yesterday. Yesterday was more of a showing just to get ready for this podcast. But I have to say, on our first impressions when we did that on the podcast, I gave this film an A+. Do I have a different opinion on it now? Yes, I do. I don't think it's worthy of an A+. My grade, to give a little preview, I'll give it lower than James. I'll actually give it an A-, A-ish. I do think there are some problems with it, some very glaring problems with it that do kind of bring it down. It's kind of situating between an A- and a B+ for me. I think that there are some cons, but I do think, like James, that the pros did manage to outweigh them. I thought they did a lot right with this movie, but there were also some things that they did very, very wrong that did kind of detract from it as a whole. But overall, I felt that it was a decent movie. I felt everyone in their performances did well, and I felt that it was decently acted, it was well cast, but there were some problems with it, but there were also a lot of pros, so I'll give it an A-. So now, Mr. Ed Jones, gift us with your spiel.
God. Well, you saying what I thought of it feels counterproductive. Again, I walked in with... I was like, I can't let my opinion on the first one get in the way. I'll see this as a film individually as well as a sequel. I hated it. Like I said this before. I wanted to walk. There were like at least 4 or 5 moments where I was like, no, I'm done. I gotta go. I have to go. Because
it was that bad, huh?
Yeah, it was for me, and it wasn't the fact that my neck was broken because I had to see it by looking up, but there were so many moments where I was just like, this is not a movie. Because like when I walked out, like I blasted to the end. Thank Christ, I left before the credits rolled because like I thought, because I heard someone in front of me saying, no, stay. Maybe there's something at the tail end. I'm like, fuck you, I'm leaving. And then I heard there was like some X-Men clip, and I was like, wait, X-Men? What? That kind of confused me. But then I heard there was something to do with I think Mark Webb's contract with Sony or Fox or something like that. So I knew it had nothing to do with Spider-Man. I was like, wait, they're going to cross Spider-Man with X-Men? What? Are they seriously doing that? Because at first I was like, that's kind of weird. But but when I left, I was walking out, and I was like, that wasn't a film. That felt like a PowerPoint presentation for Sony stockholders. That's what it felt like to me. And I went home, slept for 2 days, and then I got writing.
Yes, I've not read Ed's review on this because I'm honestly afraid to.
It's not a review; it's a eulogy.
Oh God!
It's what someone would deliver at a funeral. It's like my childhood died in the theater, and I'm sending it away. I'm casting the ashes into the sea.
Can I get an idea of how long it is?
The review?
Yeah.
I don't really count the page count, but on Facebook, I don't know. It's if I posted it on Word, maybe it'll probably come up maybe 3 pages, I think, which is about half as much as I normally do for a review.
That's not too bad. That's a pretty decent length of review. But I don't even think I should ask you what you would give a grade for this movie.
Not really. I don't really give grades to begin with, or like 9 out of 10 or A+ or anything like that. I don't really do it because I feel like it's hard to pinpoint an exact opinion on a certain rating, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, because like when someone gives like a 3-star to something, I was like, oh yeah, I liked it, but I thought it was okay at the same time. So I can't give 2.5 because that sounds weird. But yeah, I don't really give ratings, but yeah.
But the general consensus from you is that you didn't like it.
No, I did not, as you will soon find out.
All right. I think what we'll do here is, I think what we can probably kind of do is we can kind of go through the characters and kind of the story points that each one of them brings, and I'm sure Ed has a lot to say on a lot of those. I'm not sure if we should start with Peter Parker, but he is the big star of the film. I'm kind of thinking about saving him for last, but that would be like saving, I don't know. I don't know where to start with this. Holy shit. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I probably should have emailed you my list, because it's basically kind of following the film in order as it plays out.
All right. You know what? If you have a list with all this stuff, if the film plays out the way it does in your list, why don't you lead this? Because I'll admit, I did not do the proper preparation for this. I watched the film 4 times, but I didn't write down. I was kind of hoping this conversation would just come naturally to me. I should have learned that when I tried to ask a girl out and it didn't come naturally to me.
Oh, dude. Okay. Okay, I guess I
did ask her to wear a Spider-Man Halloween costume to a movie premiere.
What?
It was a joke that you asked her to wear a Spider-Man cosplay outfit to the premiere. That's why she said no to you, because you're such a nerd that you wanted her to dress up as Spider-Man.
No, I'm talking about I asked this girl out 3 years ago.
And I take that as a compliment, because, read the comics, Spider-Man's a fucking man whore. Seriously, he's got tons of babes playing after him.
He's got beautiful blondes and redheads after his ass.
I know a crazy chick who dresses like a cat and just waves a cleavage in his face, and he's like, no.
Oh, and I know, Ed, you don't really read the comics as much, but she can't take it when he takes the mask off.
No, she likes that shit. If you wore a mask, she wouldn't see your face, so...
Yeah. All right, but Ed, why don't you give us your first talking point on this film?
Well, actually, it's the trailer, because I think a lot of critics have been mentioning that a lot of scenes in the trailer weren't in the film, or that quite a lot of things in the trailer were very misleading.
That is something I was going to bring up too later on. The trailers for this film were a big pack of lies.
They were a complete lie. Because I wasn't really surprised at Sony, but the first thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that all the posters and the trailers were saying, this is Spider-Man's greatest battle. I'm like, okay. And then there was the poster that was revealed where we see that he's fighting not just Electro, but he's fighting the Rhino and the Green Goblin. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, maybe this will be pretty huge. Because I thought maybe it would be a decent action film at the very least. But the fact then I saw the film and I was like, you lied to me. even I knew I was predestined to hate it, you still lied to me. Because like the posters are indicating this is this massive epic army of guys fighting Spider-Man, and I was like, lies. Because it was kind of like the Green Lantern film. I don't know if you remember this, but the Green Lantern marketing campaign was all these posters saying that it was going to be about this epic army of space police fighting this massive intergalactic evil. Lie. It was a massive lie. But it wasn't, because it was mostly just about Ryan Reynolds getting pep talk from his friends. And
Green Lantern is a sin against humanity.
And I'll be bringing it up later, actually, because I have another comparison to Green Lantern.
Oh,
I never thought I'd bring up Green Lantern, because I hated Green Lantern.
No movie deserves to be compared to Green Lantern.
Green Lantern sucked ass.
It sucked a pile of ass. But anyway, and then the film played out, and like it was a lie, because like Green Goblin is in it. Are we doing spoilers, by the way?
Yes, we are doing spoilers, but if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't seen the film,
turn back now.
If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the film, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, turn back now. We're gonna go balls deep into spoilers, but like in the film, like Green Goblin is in it for like 3 minutes, and then the Rhino's in it for 2. I mean, I wasn't suspecting Rhino to be in it very long, because he's not exactly the best villain ever, as we all know. Really,
doesn't really have much of a character.
No, he's just a brute in a suit. You know what I mean? He's just there to smash stuff. And and then the Green Goblin's in it, because like Green Goblin is fucking important. You know, Green Goblin is like one of the most important presents in Spider-Man's history.
Green Goblin is the definitive Spider-Man villain to most people.
Yeah. Some would say Dr. Octopus is, but I was like, no, it's Green Goblin. Definitely Green Goblin. Like he's had lots of beef with Green Goblin.
Well, I'm pretty sure Dan Slott would say Doc Ock, but you know.
Yeah, because considering there's the whole thing with Doc Ock being in Spider-Man's body, I'm not. That's a whole different story. But
that's over now, by the way.
Oh, is it over? Oh, right. Oh, thank God, Christ. Anyway, so Rhino wasn't in it very long. Green Goblin wasn't in it very long. But I'll get back to them. Don't you worry. Anyway, the opening scenes with Richard Parker's motivations for turning his back on Oscorp. This kind of confused me at first, because he's talking about Oscorp doing something really evil. And I was okay. But then he's talking about, they're making biological weapons. And I was sat there confused, like, isn't that the point of the company? They make weapons or something like that? But then I remember in the first one, they said they make, they're just a company that does scientific breakthroughs, like experimentation on animals and curing illnesses and stuff like that. And I'm like, why did they stop making weapons? And then I got confused because his parents were spies in the comics, if I remember correctly.
They were either like double counter spies, or there's so many like negatives in their position name that I can't exactly remember what they were. But it turns out they weren't traitors to the country like they were thought to be.
Yeah, and I was sat there wondering, because I knew they're scientists, and I thought, okay, they've done something bad to Oscorp, now they're leaving because I don't actually know. And then they're talking about safe houses and uploading data to an unknown server called Roosevelt. I'm like, are they spies or are they scientists? It kind of confused me. I was like, and I actually wasn't behind Richard Parker's motives, mainly because I'll get into this later, but they were making weapons, I think. But I thought that was the whole point of the company to begin with. I mean, what were they doing before they were making weapons in this series? Like, I mean, in this canon so far, all we've learned is that they were making weapons at the very start. But what were they doing before that? So it's kind of like, wait, is there a massive change in this? And then they switched to medical research. I'm like, hang on. And if they kill, and then they kill him, I'm like, well, why?
Well,
I was really confused at that. I was like, okay, if they're gonna, what's the point in killing them? And if they make weapons, just sell them. It's business.
Just talking about that scene, I didn't have a problem with the fact that he could upload all that stuff through satellite uplink with Windows 95 in a plane. I didn't really have a problem with that because I'll be quite honest with you, that's just movie magic. That really is just movie magic. But the thing I had a problem with was the fact that it uploaded within 5 minutes.
Yeah, and the whole opening scene, the action element of that scene is based on making sure a laptop doesn't go to sleep mode.
Yeah, that's because they keep opening and they keep reopening and closing the laptop, and then I mean, who was the assassin played by? I was like, I know that's not Jim Carrey, but I don't know who he is.
I don't know. If it was Jim Carrey, that'd be pretty amazing. He just comes out and goes, "Hey!" Kills him.
I know that wasn't Jim Carrey because I don't know if you heard this, but there was a rumor that Jim Carrey was supposed to play that guy.
Oh, I know. I didn't know that. No.
There was a rumor that Jim Carrey was supposed to play that guy, but he was that was debunked or whatever.
Yeah, and it was a very confusing scene for me, and also like the action element was based around closing a laptop, and it went on way too long, and I didn't understand it at first. I was like, okay, you've lost me in the first 5 minutes, and
I just went with that scene. Like the way I explained it in my own head was that he's a scientist and he worked at Oscorp, so I just assumed that he had higher technology than what the public had at the same time period. And that's just all I went.
That's what I was telling myself as well, because it's like there's no way he could link that up to Roosevelt, with what internet connection and whatever he had, and how that guy had a wired internet connection in the sky.
A wizard did it. I don't know. And
the technology for what, spoiler alerts, Roosevelt ended up weren't even capable in 2014. So
yeah, I don't think we should be questioning the technological aspects of this movie, because there are some pretty fantastic things that happen in this film. I'm not going to deny that.
Guy's flying around in a bat-shaped glider towards the end. I mean,
there's a guy who got electric powers because he got bitten by some eels.
Oh, I'll get back to that. Don't you guys worry. And I was never behind the Richard Parker thing to begin with, because his research with spiders and his whole involvement with Oscorp has set the stage for Spider-Man to exist. I mean, we learn later in the film that the spiders, like the reason they weren't going to give people powers was because Richard Parker put his DNA into them. And I thought that just undercut everything that Spider-Man stands for. Like, the reason he has powers is not because it was predetermined for him, because it was just an accident. And then his foolishness got his uncle killed. Because it was guilt that made him become Spider-Man. But this time, everything has been predetermined for him. I was like, Spider-Man doesn't have a destiny. That's not how it works. And because of this, the whole film played out like some massive sci-fi techno thriller that Spider-Man just happens to be in.
Here's my response to that is, I don't think that that he's necessarily predetermined to be Spider-Man, because really he just says that, okay, the reason the spiders worked on Peter and not on anyone else, well, he doesn't actually say that, but it basically says, the film basically comes out and says Peter worked because he has his father's DNA, which was put into the spiders. It didn't work on Harry because Harry is not a Parker. It doesn't necessarily make Peter himself special. Because him becoming Spider-Man was still an accident, because his father never planned for him to become Spider-Man. From what I gathered from this film, that was never planned. But it was a case of, it worked on Peter because he has Richard Parker's bloodline, and it doesn't work on others because of the fact that they don't have the right type of blood. Now, that I actually did find that to be quite clever in a way for them to kind of make the whole spider thing a little bit more mysterious and intriguing. I did like that quite a bit. And personally, I was just glad that they didn't reveal that Peter was like genetically altered or whatever, because if they did that, I was going to walk out and leave the theater.
I wanted to walk out with that scene, but
that he already had the powers or something like that, and he just didn't know about it, or the spider bites made him come out.
Yeah, that kind of like that. I would have walked out of the theater had that happened.
I wanted to walk out to begin with, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. And there was something that kind of confused me as well. In the opening, like he kills the spiders, doesn't he?
he kills some of the spiders, but not all of them. So that's why there are still spiders in the first movie present. Because
I see. No, carry on.
Because I originally thought that as well, because I was thinking, wait a minute, if you killed all the spiders, why are there spiders in the first movie? And they explain later that it was only after the incident with Doc Connors in the last movie that they killed the rest of the spiders.
And that kind of that really confused me at first. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that confused me too, and then I figured it out like on my second viewing. I was like, oh, that's what they mean. Okay, there we go. Makes more sense now.
And then I'm wondering, like, because they were wanting to sell these weapons that they made, didn't they? They wanted to sell them.
Norman Osborn did.
Yeah, he wanted to sell these weapons. But then when Richard Parker was out of the way, I'm like, why didn't he sell them afterwards? He's had these weapons in the basement for 15 years. What's he doing with them?
The way I took it, that Norman wasn't selling them to in the first movie, how he was selling them to the army. I took them that Norman was selling them to the highest bidder in the black market. So Richard Parker said, I got to get out of here, and then he got killed for it.
Yeah, that's how I took it as well.
Oh, I took it as I thought he was just selling them to like military companies and stuff. Because remember in the first Raimi film when they're actually making weapons, the glider and the suit,
and the flight suit and the glider.
It's
been stolen, sir.
Yeah, the flight suit and the glider. I was like, okay, they're making stuff for the military at first, but in the next film, I think Oscorp is financing Dr. Octopus's his energy project. I'm like, okay, so maybe after the Goblin thing, they actually just canned the whole weapons thing.
I actually do want to talk about, at the end of this podcast, Raimi versus Mark Webb. I do actually want to bring that up.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to do that, because I guess you can tell what side I'll be on.
Yes, you can tell.
The battle lines have already been drawn between me and Ed, because I got a feeling that we're going to be butting heads throughout this whole podcast.
Yes!
Yeah, I can sense that too. And he was uploading it to Roosevelt, the train car.
I love the fact that
Rosebud.
Mary Parker was dying from a gunshot, and all she could think about was Roosevelt.
Yeah, and this is what got me confused. I was like, he uploaded it to this train car, this data that nobody knew about. Why would he upload it there? And who was he expecting to find it? Because this is actually really, really confused me. I was like, I should be watching the film, and I can't help but think about this. Because he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he wants somebody to find it, because he leaves the briefcase with Peter, doesn't he? Well, not with Peter, but with Ben and May. And,
yes, after we get many shots of recycled footage from the first film.
Yeah, and he has the tokens to access the train in his calculator, which is a very strange place to put them. I was like, if you wanted someone to find it, like, why are these coins inside the calculator? Why just put them in the case? I think Peter probably would have found it faster.
Hang on, Ed. James wants to say something.
Okay.
The way I think of it is that he planned on Peter to find this up, because he probably figured, okay, Peter's going to be not necessarily Peter's going to be a smart scientist, but he probably figured that Peter's going to find the briefcase, and by some chance, if Peter finds this, he'll know the truth that we weren't just FBI wanted because we betrayed Norman Osborn for the highest bidder. I want Peter to know the truth that we weren't those people. Not necessarily that Peter's going to use this information and become Spider-Man, but Peter's going to know the truth that at least his parents weren't as bad as the world thinks they are.
Yeah, sure, that's true. But it still sets the stage for Peter to get involved in this whole thing. It still sets the stage for him to be involved in this. I'm like, okay, he has a destiny.
Because I didn't really get the whole, it's pre-destiny thing about the Spider-Bite. Because I don't think at any chance he assumed that Peter was just going to walk into Oscorp one day and then awkwardly flirt with Gwen and then get bit by the spider. I don't think he had any plans that was going to happen.
I'm sure he didn't, but the whole stage was set. The whole thing was set, like his DNA is in the spiders. He's going to get these abilities if he gets bit by one, which is kind of strange because like they had built this entire universe with Richard Parker's DNA in these spiders, so only Peter could possibly get superhuman powers from them. I'm like, it's kind of obvious he's going to get the powers, because of course we know it because it's Spider-Man, but I'm just saying, like, the whole stage is set and he gets these abilities, and then Peter just walks into the equation and gets the powers and becomes Spider-Man. It's like the whole accidental hero aspect has been completely robbed, and that just completely undermines Spider-Man as a character overall, and that just kind of bugged me a lot. I mean, I understand that, the whole thing with his parents, like, they want their son to know that they aren't criminals. I get that. I really get that, but the whole thing just doesn't feel like Spider-Man to me. It just feels like a massive, like I said before, it's a massive sci-fi film that Spider-Man just happens to be in.
And you know what? Excuse me. I think we need to move along here because
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I ranted again.
We need to move along here. We get this opening scene with the Rhino, or Alexei Sitsevich, who's not the Rhino yet, driving along in a truck full of plutonium. He's hijacked the truck, and I gotta say, this was one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie. I really did like this sequence, because I felt it was, well, first of all, it was well scored, I felt. But I love the action sequence. I loved Spider-Man's quips in this movie, because let's just say this right now. Andrew Garfield, I love him as Spider-Man, and I know Ed might disagree with me on that, but I just love the way Spider-Man was quipping in this scene. He goes, "Hey, you can call me Webhead, you can call me Amazing, just don't call me late for dinner, you get it?" Oh, what, you're not a shaker?
I love those.
Not a shaker?
I love those.
Are you a hugger? I'm a killer! I was like, yes, that is classic Spider-Man right there. And I just felt that if anything, this film captured who Spider-Man is really well. I mean, because you got the scene with the kid, you got the scene, you got the montage sequence of him, swinging around, doing all that stuff. You got his relationship with Electro and Max Dillon. To me, this is sort of a talking point. This film nailed Spider-Man as a character for me.
I feel like it nailed Spider-Man, but kind of in the ass.
Damn.
Moving on. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I agree with Jonathan. When I saw that, and I just hear he knocks out, knock, knock. Hi, I'm Spider-Man, but you can call me the Amazing Spider-Man. You can call me Webhead. You can call me this, but don't call me late for dinner. And all those stuff and the quips and him catching, the vials with his foot and getting hit by and he's on the phone with Gwen saying, "I'm going to be late for graduation." And she's all like, "What's going on?" And he's trying to come up with 1,000 different excuses, she can hear what's going on in the background. And that all that stuff felt classic Spider-Man to me. That felt like something I could literally pick up the comic book and read.
I freaking love the scene where he picks up the last vial of plutonium. He looks back, he sees the cop car, boom! I love that. That was hilarious. But I have to ask, where the hell was he keeping his cell phone in that suit?
Yeah! That bothered the hell out of me. I was sat there going, wait a minute, it's a skin-tight suit, it doesn't have pockets. Where did he get that phone from? I was like, I shouldn't be thinking about where Spider-Man keeps his stuff, but damn!
Because, to me, I just kind of equate it. I explain it the way they explain away Optimus Prime's trailer. It just goes into subspace.
yeah, okay.
I just assume because in the comics he has like a utility belt that's underneath the suit that's skin tight and everything. I just assume that in the movie universe he has that too, and he has a pocket for the phone in there.
That's probable because again, this is the 21st century, not 1962, so they do have to think about things like where you're going to put your cell phone and stuff. So I guess I can kind of get away with that. But then we get our first appearance of Dennis Leary, and man, that guy made easy money in this movie. All he had to do was sit there and stare at people.
For this scene before, I'll get back to that in a minute, but I just want to quickly say, like, this is probably a bit of a nitpick, I understand, but like, it's like when he's chatting shit with the Rhino in the car, in the truck, sorry. He's like doing the wisecracks and stuff like that, and like, but I was like, why doesn't he just punch him in the face and stop the truck? He's destroying cop cars and running over taxis. I think people are getting hurt, man. And
that was another question I had, and this is a nitpick. It was a nitpick, but he goes to stop a flying taxi from hitting one guy, but the truck he jumps off of is about to hit 5 other cars.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Spider-Man, people are getting killed. What are you doing? Just punch him in the face and hit the brake.
Well, I liked it. Yeah, I liked the scene when I first saw it, too, because I didn't really notice too much. I just saw he's leaping in, and he saves Max Dillon, and he has the Spider-Man quips about how, well, these look important, it's being Peter Parker, and he's all like, hey, here you go, Max. And he goes, you know my name? He goes, yeah, it says on your nameplate. Yeah, you're my eyes and ears. So I think, okay, that's cool. That's classic Spider-Man. I can see him doing that in the comics. And then you get to when I watched it and think, I'm like, he's quipping with this guy about his name, and a taxi driver probably just got squished in the cement because his car went head first into the road.
Yeah, I thought that bit went on way too long. Like, he's talking to Max Dillon, and I want to talk about Max Dillon later because I don't like the way they wrote Max Dillon.
Oh, I loved this scene with Max Dillon. To me, it was kind of cool. It felt like Spider-Man to me, and
this is the one thing I will agree with Ed on. He felt like the Riddler from Batman Forever, how he was done. I mean, there's scenes that are almost taken from Riddler from Batman Forever, it felt like.
Oh my gosh, you were like the 5th person I've heard make that comparison.
I made that comparison the instant I saw him. I was like, Riddler. No contest, Riddler. And I was like, wait, it's like Killian in Iron Man 3, with the glasses and the stuttering and the carrying the blueprints and the, hello, Spider-Man, I'm Mr. Nerdlinger.
How can I be pissed at you, Tony? You gave me the one thing I couldn't ask for. Desperation.
He designs something, and the businessman blows him off as too many questions, just like Riddler. He has the crazy room with 1,000 photos of the guy, like Riddler, and he becomes a superhero like Riddler.
That creeped me out. I was like, what the fuck?
The only thing I was focused on was, how many what is this guy's electrical bill? Because how many damn lights does he have in there?
I was like, oh, get it? He works with light bulbs. He's Electro. Get it?
I just gotta ask, how sky high is this guy's electric bill?
Probably not.
Did you guys notice the cake?
Yes, that cake was awesome.
That creeped me the hell out. I was like, this guy's got problems. This is not even funny. It's not cute.
I love how that's how they acknowledge the comic book, kind of the golden starfish suit that people like to call it with the classic design. How it has the green and yellow lightning bolt design going on the cake. I thought that was kind of awesome.
That was an awesome Easter egg.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I didn't even notice that on my first time. I knew there was... I felt like I should be looking at that cake because I was like, well, that's an interesting color combination to have on a birthday cake. But then James pointed it out to me. He's like, dude, that's the classic Electro color scheme. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't see that.
You know what would have been better if the entire cake was green and yellow, and that's what influenced him to make a green and yellow suit with that ridiculous starfish on his face because he's obsessed with electricity. He's got all the light bulbs around his house, and he's an electrician. And I thought maybe he would, because he talks about how it's his birthday. I thought he might actually go that nuts and make that ridiculous costume.
That he's being reborn, kind of thing.
Yeah. He just makes this really ridiculous starfish costume, and I would have loved that.
I don't think the classic Ditko design would have worked in this film. I'm sorry. Maybe in the Raimi films, because the Raimi films were very much more a classic comic book 60s take on Spider-Man, but not in this series.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have worked. I know that. I was just kidding around, really. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, so then Spider-Man. I want Spider-Man like, Jesus Christ, Spider-Man, just punch him in the face and stop the truck. Damn it. I mean, I know he wisecracks. I know he's an asshole, but Jesus. And then there's foreshadowing Dennis Leary just shaking his head in disapproval. I know you're banging my daughter. I know you're banging my daughter.
He doesn't even shake his head. He just stares at him. And he's just like... And this is something we could bring up, too. Gwen's graduation speech. I know we all think that we're immortal. We're supposed to feel that way. We're graduating. But the thing that makes life precious is that it ends. I was like, come on!
I hated that. I was like, I want to walk. I want to walk. Because even if you aren't connected to, viewers, if you're listening to this, if you aren't connected to Spider-Man, even remotely, even Gwen Stacy dies. It's the thing about Spider-Man, Uncle Ben dies, Gwen Stacy dies. That's how it goes. They're basically two origin stories for Spider-Man. Because when Gwen Stacy died, he basically more or less was Spider-Man again, you could say. Because if you look back at that story again, he basically understands the weight of what his identity is.
That's very true.
People can get killed, and he's like, shit's real. It's shit gets real too. It's it's a massive weight on the comics, and I'm just like, okay, because we talked about this in the last podcast, didn't we? It was like, when Stacey's gonna die, we know it's inevitable. We were saying
we knew that when we saw her in the classic 121 outfit.
Yeah. We were just like, I think we actually said that maybe she's probably gonna die at the end of the second one, and then it's gonna carry on immediately after into the third one. Maybe
that was probably I don't remember what my predictions were.
I think that's what we said, but I was like, okay, this is probably a new series for the new young kids. This speech, Gwen Stacy makes a speech that's just foreshadowing as all hell. I was like, no, are they seriously doing this? This is lazy. This is the laziest kind of writing I've seen in my life.
I didn't have a problem with it. I was just like, I knew it was coming, so I was just like, when she said, what makes life precious is that it ends, I was like, yeah, just like you're going to be at the end of this movie.
Honestly, this could have been cured easily. Just like didn't show the speech to begin with. Like, cause like with Spider-Man the whole time. So I'm like, okay, maybe if we miss the speech, like, and then it appears, because, it appears at the end when he listens to it, because you have to listen to the speech again at the very end. I was like, maybe that would have been a lot better if the speech wasn't there to begin with, because we missed it with Spider-Man, and then, like, at the very end he hears it, what she had to say, and that motivates him again. But I was like, no.
I will get onto that, because if there was one big con of this movie, it was that.
Yeah, just like, I was like, are they seriously doing that? They've lost me in the first 10 minutes, but this is just insulting. Even if you don't... I was like, they seriously are being this lazy.
There was another review I saw of it, right after the movie came out. I don't know if you guys are fans of the site, but it's that guy with the glasses with Nostalgia Critic. And him and his brother went to go see the movie, and they said when they sat down in the movie together and they heard her start doing the speech, they immediately go, "I'm done. She's dead. We know the ending. Spoilers."
Yeah, I saw that. I watch Doug and Rob Walker all the time.
I don't watch them, but it's like, I mean, I'm a Spider-Man fan, so I knew she was gonna die, but it's just like, whatever. But we move along there. Gwen and Peter break up because Peter says, how can I come and eat dinner with your family when I promised your father I would keep away from you? What does this make me? And Gwen says, I don't know. What does that make you? And he says, it makes me not able to live with myself. And I love that, because that was the classic Parker guilt. I love that.
I think he should have said that one movie ago.
See, here's why I don't think he should have said that, is because he's a teenager. All of us teenagers are dumbasses. We don't realize what we're doing until it's too late.
Okay, but I said this in the first podcast. I was like, because of his ridiculous actions, there is a giant lizard man running around turning people into lizards. Like, you've endangered so many people. Your uncle's got killed because of you. And like, when this dying man, like, your girlfriend is that's her father dying in front of you. He's got killed because of you. He asks one thing of you: stay away from my goddamn daughter, because there might be more giant lizard men like him who might try and hurt her. She could get killed. You moron. And then at the very end, he's like, okay, I've got to accept my role as Spider-Man, because I have a responsibility to protect the city. And then the next scene is, there are some promises you just can't keep. Credits.
Hey, I got something to say, but I got to be back in a few minutes. I guess my mom just got home. We got to give her the Mother's Day gift and everything. Happy Mother's Day!
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I completely forgot to mention that.
Yeah. And actually, there's a very nice mother scene in this, actually, that we'll talk about later. And I was just like, and at the very end, he just doesn't keep the promise. I'm like, what the fuck? And in this film, he breaks up with him. I was like, dude, you should have done that one movie ago.
Well, he did do that one movie ago, and then there was the whole thing of, yeah, but those are the best kind.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's just wrong.
I attribute that to him being a teenager. Teenagers do stupid things. So I do kind of attribute that to just him being a teenager. That's why that really doesn't bother me. But I did like the whole thing of, I break up with you. Gwen saying, I break up with you. Because she was so done with it. I did like that, but there's not really that much to talk about with that. And then we get this whole montage of Spider-Man, going around saving people, saving the kid. I really like the kid scene.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. I actually kind of like that scene because like it actually kind of said to me like, okay, what? Imagine if I'm like 7 years old or something, and these some kids are picking on me, and then fucking Spider-Man comes out of nowhere and like like walks me home. I was like, that's really kick-ass because like it was like in Iron Man 3 when the kid walks in, there's fucking Tony Stark like sitting in his garage. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. That's a very nice scene actually. I actually kind of like that a little bit.
I did like that. I felt that was kind of endearing to watch. I liked how he's like, this is a wind turbine. You make this? No way. I did like that. That was classic friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to me. It was very good. And I like that we got to meet some media and public reaction to Spider-Man in that montage sequence. I did like that. Once again, that was classic Spider-Man. The public isn't really approving of him. Get out of the way and let the police do their job. And then, of course, you see Jameson, the Daily Bugle, Spider-Menace. And it shocks me that they're still doing that in 2014. But I guess... I guess are newspapers still around today?
Oh yeah,
I never see them, but
oh okay, yeah, because of virtual media and stuff. Although if they had like everyone in New York just like sitting there with iPads, I think it would be kind of weird.
Yeah,
they're the most shameless product placement in history.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. What did I miss?
We were just talking about the montage sequence with the fact that the Daily Bugle is still a newspaper.
Oh, I got some things I could say about that. And it's actually the fight with the Rhino at first. Did anybody else notice that in the promos for that shot, it shows follow Daily Bugle on Twitter, but when you watch it actually in the movie theater, that's gone from the billboard. It's just not there.
Oh yeah, that was intentional. But what did you think of the kids scene? The scene with the little kid in the wind turbine.
I personally enjoyed it because I felt like that was a classic Spider-Man thing. I knew that because of the first movie, they were setting up something like that because they did something similar with the kid on the bridge. So I knew that this kid is going to come back later at some point. Maybe he's the reason why Peter snaps out of his guilt or something, but I knew. And it just felt like classic Spider-Man that he relates to this kid as the nerd I got picked on. So he's going to come in and help this kid. He's not beating up the kids, but he jumps in. The kids are scared of him because they don't know if they can trust Spider-Man. And then he goes, hey, yeah, you're making a wind turbine? That's cool. Webs it up and then gives it to the kid and he walks them home. That's classic Peter.
That was great. I love that. But then we move along and you see Spider-Man basically stalking Gwen.
That creeped me out.
He did that in the first movie when she was sitting on the table outside the school and he takes a picture of her. I'm like, dude, what the hell? He just takes a picture of her when she's not looking.
Teenage boys do that. Like, if you, I'm a Power Ranger fan, Jake from Samurai Jake from Mega Force would probably do that. And when I was in high school, I knew there was girls that I thought were cute or something. I might give them a little stare. Because you're a teenage boy, and you don't know right or wrong. But yeah, right, he's college age now. He should not be the same teenager he was in the first movie, kind of stalking her. He should be more kind of mature about letting your girlfriend go after you break up with her.
Yeah, and then we the next big thing I guess we get is we already discussed the Max Dillon sequence with him in his room and the birthday cake and all that. But then we get the introduction of Harry Osborn, played by Dane DeHaan, and we get this little scene between him and Norman, who's played by Chris Cooper. Was I the only one who felt that this was a classic Ditko relationship between Harry and Norman, whereas pretty much Norman wants nothing to do with Harry?
Kinda. I mean, all I got was just, hey dad, hey son, take this. Fuck you, dad.
Well, I didn't really get that kind of vibe from the scene because I felt like this was Norman and Harry. Like, Harry's like, you sent me to boarding school, and I haven't heard from you until the day you died. How do you expect me to feel any emotional for your death? And he's all like, you were a little spoiled punk, Harry, and I did like, in Norman's head, he gave Harry everything in the world by casting him aside and sending him off to boarding school. I did everything for you. I spoiled you. You're ungrateful little punk, and it's happening. And he's almost like he's torturing and teasing Harry. It's already happening to you, and one day you're going to be just like me. Unless you cure yourself, but you're going to be just like me. That is Norman as Norman can get.
Retroviral hyperplasia. I never told you that it's genetic.
Yeah, 'cause that is classic Norman. He has this disease, and the son, even though he doesn't feel close to his dad's still dying, and then you drop a bombshell. Oh yeah, it's genetic. You have it too. You're gonna die. Ha ha. Like, that's Norman all the way.
I will say, this was something I noticed in the movie, but does anyone notice that throughout the movie, it takes Norman like 60 plus years to get to that condition, but you can see Harry deteriorating like within a week?
Yeah, that bothered the hell out of me. I was like, he lived to be 60, and he's probably like, what, 20 years old, and he's dying already?
Yeah, he's like, I'm already dying. Your blood can't make me die more. And I'm like, dude, you should have like 40 years left, but you're like, what do you have, a weak immune system or something?
Okay, but the way I could have took it is because he didn't know that it was genetic. Maybe you have a shorter lifespan with it, but because of Norman owning with all the pharmaceuticals, he's been taking experimental drugs that have prolonged his life. It's just, it didn't wipe out. Obviously, he was just prolonging his life, and he was dead, where Harry didn't have any of that in him.
You know, that's possible, but it would have been nice to get an explanation as to why Harry was deteriorating so much faster than Norman was.
Yeah, or his dad could have just said, "Oh yeah, by the way, son, there's this goblin suit in the basement of Oscorp. It can keep you alive." Just saying.
We'll get to that.
I didn't wear it because reasons.
I'll get to that, and I kind of actually defend that, but
yeah, I got it was a prototype design because it doesn't look complete. Like, I figured that this is something that Norman did as like a last effort to live, and when he died right before it could be finalized, or because of all the board of directors. Not going to spoil because we're getting more into the podcast. But when we get to the board of directors and their little plot line, I got a sense of he just never had time to finish it.
But moving along, we get shit. What the hell happens next? Norman dies.
Yeah, Norman dies unexpectedly.
Yeah, and then Max Dillon falls into the pit of eels. I know Ed has a lot to say on this, but we get a nice little cameo from Alistair Smythe, played by B.J. Novak. That was kind of cool.
Was he the? Oh, actually, no, it doesn't matter.
He was the douchebag with the glasses that said, "Dillon, you stay here."
Yeah. And actually, I was going back to Harry Osborn. Actually, there's a lot of people I know who love Spider-Man and said this is actually kind of bothersome as well. Is that he walks into the film and then like when he meets Peter, it's like, oh hey, we were buddies from way back. And I said this before. I was going to bring up Green Lantern again. I didn't want to, but I have to. But in Green Lantern, I don't know if you remember, or hopefully you don't. But in the film, like Ryan Reynolds does not have a bit of dialogue with Peter Sarsgaard, the villain, like for like the half of the film, and then like they meet each other at this party, and apparently, and then they reveal that they were friends from way back. I was like, you can't do that.
Yeah, that was one of my cons as well, is the relationship between Peter and Harry. I didn't buy it.
Yeah, it was very forced, and like they were saying, "Oh, yeah, you helped me through times when I was a kid." I was like, "Well, why didn't he appear in the first film?" And I was like, "Oh, this is just Sony doing their thing." I don't think they actually planned this film when they finished writing the first one.
Well, him being in boarding school, kind of writes it off. But then they should have had a one-off line in the first one, where maybe Aunt May in one of the early scenes is saying that Peter doesn't have many friends, and they go, "Well, he had that one, but after his parents died, they separated," or something like that.
Or yeah, just some clarification, or at least like maybe a scene in the first one where you see him as a kid or something, just something.
Or you could honestly, I would have just been fine of Peter looking through that magazine like he mentioned he did, and seeing Harry and saying, "Oh yeah, I remember this guy. We used to be best friends." I would have been fine with that. Just some setup before they come face to face.
Yeah, just something like that.
Or when he's in Oscorp and he's sneaking around, you could have a scene where he gets caught, and then he says, "Ask Mr. Osborn, he knows me. Me and his son go way back."
That could have been fine.
Yeah, just something. But moving along, and there's this is the second time when I was like, I want to walk out. It's when they're talking about how the rules of being friends.
The rules of
when Peter and Gwen.
before you say that, can we go back to the scene where Peter finds out that Norma died and he sees how Harry is the heir and stuff like that, and he sees that Harry's back in town? Is that the part where he's on the computer where you get to the emails?
Yes, from J. Jonah Jameson, and the subject is just wrong.
I love that. He's like, here's a photo of Spider-Man saving the day. Are you going to change your opinion of him? Next thing, wrong. And the second I read it, I'm like, come on, you got to do it. J.K. Simmons, because that's something I can see him doing from the Raimi trilogy.
And this kind of bothers me because he's supposed to be Peter's supposed to be a photographer. He's not a photographer in this. Like they hint at it, but they don't actually show it. And this kind of bothered me in the first one, is that he takes pictures in the first one, but he doesn't exactly sell them to the Daily Bugle or anything. And it's only referenced. I want to see him take pictures, because this is the thing I loved about Raimi's film, is that it clarified everything about Peter from the comics. It just clarified everything for me. They set up being Spider-Man, he takes pictures for the Bugle and his relationship with all the characters. It just made sense. But this time it's just references to what he does, not what he actually does.
Well, you get a few scenes there where, when he's out with Gwen or he's out with Harry, where he has the camera with him, but I know what you mean. You don't actually see him taking the photos.
No. But that's kind of a big thing for me. But anyway, I think we should move on.
The one Easter egg that my brother caught in that scene that he loves, because that was from is one of his favorite moments from the first movie, and they referenced it. When you're reading the list of all the emails he has on there, one of them is from Aunt May, says, "Don't forget the eggs this time," which is a callback to the first movie.
Yeah, that was funny. I did like that. But then we get the scene of Max Dillon falling into the eels.
Yeah, and
to me, this was... I didn't really have that big of a problem with this, because this is a comic book movie. Comic books do take very... what's the word I'm looking for? Sci-fi, unbelievable ways of doing things. And I guess that maybe having Max Dillon be stupid enough to go up there, reconnect the wires with no sort of protection at all while they were live, instead of just saying, F you, Smythe, I'm not doing that, I could die. I just kind of took... I didn't let that bother me. I really didn't.
Well, I think it's kind of annoying because they send just one person to help out in the power room instead of just getting a team down there. They just send one guy.
Oh well, I got the sense that happened because Smythe is an asshole.
I know Smythe is an asshole, but I was like, okay, I know he's a loner and I know he's kind of a nerd guy, but I was like, Jesus Christ. But more about.
If Smythe's like the comic books, he does become a supervillain. So him being like, I don't like this guy, he's an annoying little pest, I'll just let him go by himself without protection. If he dies, who cares? Because then if it's the comic book Smythe, that kind of makes sense, because he is a supervillain.
Yes.
Are the eels powering the building?
I didn't get that sense. I just got the sense that they were just like... I think that was a genomics lab or something.
Because I was wondering, because it's in the power room, and I'm just wondering, I don't think eels are powerful enough to power a building.
No, I think what they said later on was there was an accident in the genomics lab, so I think that was like a lab where they were experimenting, and there was an electrical problem in there. That's how I took it.
Oh, I didn't catch that, but I was just like, I'm pretty sure eels can't power a building.
Well, I've seen it 4 times, and you've only seen it once, so.
Yeah, and this is the biggest nitpick in the history of the world, but eels don't make zap noises.
They were, well, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, neither did I. I was like,
altered. I mean, we got a spider in the first movie that gave a guy superpower and lizard DNA that turned a mouse into a lizard hybrid in one scene. I mean,
logic is not present.
Giving a guy superpowers, I don't really see the problem. When the first movie you had a spider giving a guy superpowers.
Yeah, and this is kind of weird as well. This isn't actually a critique. It's actually kind of a personal question. Like, why does Norman Osborn model all these weapons after animals? I know that's a stupid thing to bring up. It's a comic book film, I know, but I was like, was there a moment where Norman Osborn was like someone came up to him and says, "Okay, Mr. Osborn, we have these surface-to-air missiles." He's like, "No, I want a rhino tank. Make it happen. A tank shaped like a rhino." But sir, we have these new surface-to-air missiles that could change the face of warfare as we know. No, Rhino tank.
I just want to believe that all of Norman Osborn's cereal that he eats in the morning is shaped like dinosaurs. I just want to believe that.
I don't want the Stegosauruses in it. Take them out now.
Just imagine it with all the little Easter eggs we had to other Sinister Six members and stuff like that. I can just see that scene like you said now. Dr. Octavius in the radioactive lab says in order to help him grab the radioactive material without getting harmed, he wants some retractable arms. Make them octopus shaped. What? No, he just wants something that can grab the things where he doesn't have to touch them. Make them shaped like an octopus. Okay,
and I can build these high-powered jets. No, I want vulture wings.
Yes.
We need birdmen in Iraq.
No, Mr. Osborn. I'm your top aerial guy, Adrian Toombs. Name drop. And I'm just telling you right now that it's not going to be long. Just get me a jetpack. Just design a regular jetpack. These wings things sound stupid. No, vulture wings, and they're green. Do it now.
Dude, I swear to you, Colm Feore should so have been Adrian Toombs. I don't know if either of you know who that was, but Donald Menken, the guy who arrests Harry like an hour and a half into the film.
Oh yeah.
He should have been Adrian Toombs. He looks the part so much.
Oh yeah, and before I forget, before we move on, I think my favorite scene in the film, because I actually kind of like Harry in this film, it's the scene when he's with all the board members, and then he goes, "Look, Harry," goes, "No, it's Mr. Osborn. I'm not your friend." I was like, "That's badass."
Oh, I love the whole thing of he's like, Oscorp's been under intense public scrutiny in the wake of Dr. Connor's breach of trust. You mean people are pissed off because he tried to turn everyone in New York City into giant lizards? I'm like, yes!
Yeah.
Go!
That was hilarious.
I love that.
I can see that being a line that Norman said in the board of directors meeting. I was like, what are we going to do with the Connor thing? Oh, it's a breach of, we'll just say it's a breach of trust that he was fired. Like, he was sleeping underneath the table. Here he comes in the next movie. Just say the truth. He tried to turn the city into gigantic lizard men.
And then I mean, as much as I didn't buy into the relationship between them, I love the line between him and Peter. Do you still blow dry your hair every morning? One of my manservants holds the hair dryer, but I work the comb, so at least I'm not completely helpless. That was hilarious. I love that. That was hilarious.
I love Dane DeHaan as an actor.
Dane DeHaan's a great actor.
He's great, yeah.
The hair joke, I got a vibe there that was like their little subtle nod to the comics, because the Osborn, hairstyle, I don't even know what you would call it, that they have throughout the comics. So that's like the little nod where he goes, "Hey, do you still got people who do your hair for you?"
That was awesome. So we move along and we get the whole thing of, we get the whole montage between, well, not montage, but the scene between Peter and Harry. We can talk about that. We didn't buy into their relationship at all. Then we get the whole scene between Peter and Gwen making ground rules. I love that. Dude, I love that. Come on, that was awesome.
It was This is one of, it's so badly written. I feel like this was written by some 15-year-old hipster. Okay, it's just like, I was like, this is ridiculously bad dialogue. It's like, okay, you gotta come up with a laugh that's a little less cute. I was like, oh my god, no.
I kind of agree with you there. I got a sense if they would have wrote that scene where it's kind of awkward because they're going for a breakup and they still have feelings for each other, but they're being more mature about it and they're just trying to be friends and let's just be friends, Peter. Let's not get carried away. This is not a date. I would have been fine with that scene. But the whole, like you said, that felt too much like we're flirting because we're 15 again. It's like, you got to stop having a cute laugh going, well, you got to stop looking so cute without your mask on. Well, you got to stop doing that. You Eskimo kisses with our noses. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and one scene ago was like, no, I break up with you. Now we're all laughing. Oh, everything's fine. We're laughing. We're setting ground rules for the friend zone. I'm like, dude, this is just stupid. Because we all know the speech at the beginning just pretty much foreshadowed the whole thing. They're gonna get back together, and then she's gonna die. And it's like I was like, I could read the future of this film instantly. I knew everything that was gonna happen scene by scene.
I guess I'm the only one who liked this scene, but I personally loved it. I just thought I thought it was really fun to watch. I just loved
Well, John, how do I explain this? I liked the scene, I just didn't like the dialogue. If they would have changed it to be more of the whole, they're trying to be friends, but maybe a little bit is creeping in there that they still like each other, but they're trying to just, okay, let's just try to be friends here. We're going to different colleges and whatever. Let's just be friends and try to, just enjoy the time we have left together because we were friends. If they would have had line of dialogues where it was that kind of mindset, I would have been okay with it. But the whole kind of, yeah, you got to stop having the cutest laugh in the world. It just felt like that was too much what a teenager would say during a summer vacation with a girl.
Don't tell me that I look amazing with your big brown doe eyes.
Ugh.
That's another thing I got to bring up because we have a similar thing for Power Ranger seasons where depending on what the season name is, it would be like, you are super samurai, and you are so mega Rangers. That's a mega win. I mean, now you got that going on with this movie where every other line was amazing. He should be called the Amazing Spider-Man. That was amazing. Peter, your eyes are amazing. Amazing. Spectacular.
Amazing.
Sensational.
I mean,
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that scene at all. But then we get the Electro, or Max Dillon, if you still want to call him that, wanders into Times Square. What he does is he locates the source of power, rips the ground open, and just grasps at the wires. And I love that part because the cop's reaction, he's just like, he sees the guy, he's like, sir, get your hands away from the cables, please. It's like, okay, first of all, you gotta realize that this guy's a nut because obviously he's not killed by all this electricity. And two, he looks up and all of a sudden he's like, he doesn't even try to question him, he's just like, holy shit, blue guy.
and this actually annoyed me. So the crowd of people in this film are idiots.
Yeah, because they don't do anything.
Yeah, there's a blue man who can fly and is throwing electricity around. He's destroying cop cars. He's blowing up buildings, and everyone's just going, "Yay, Spider-Man!" and kick his ass. I'm like, run away! Good God, run away!
Yeah, it did confuse me. It's like, why are all you people standing around watching this?
It's like the end. It's like at the very end. Like there's a man in a gigantic walking tank. And he's firing missiles and high-caliber machine guns at police officers and civilians, and they're just standing there going, yay, Spider-Man, kick his ass! I'm like, run away!
Well, it's like that in the comics, too, though, where they'll have the shot of the people in the streets watching the fight, and you would have the reactions of the guy probably being like, well, the Bugle says he's bad here, but I feel so bad for him because he's getting beat up, or something like that. You did have that in the comics, though, where you'd be like, run away. No, don't stand there and just have the exposition about how half the city hates him and half the city likes him.
Yeah,
my counter-argument to that is that this is 2014.
Yeah, I was like, these people aren't that stupid. Because it was like in the Raimi films. Like, in all Raimi films, the civilians were acted properly. Because with Green Goblin, it's like, okay, it's a guy in a goblin suit on a flying glider with machine guns. He's shooting at us. Let's get out of here. Dr. Octopus, it's a man wearing, a hat, sunglasses, and he's got 4 arms coming out of his back. Run. And the Sandman, there's a man made of sand, and he can grow to the size of a skyscraper. And there is a black monster that looks like Spider-Man. He has teeth, he can tear police officers apart. Fucking run.
Well, to be fair, Spider-Man 3 did the exact same thing as this film, because remember that scene where Jameson gets hustled by the little girl? There's a bunch of people behind the gate watching the giant sand monster.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, actually no, I'll say that for later. But I think actually the fight between Spider-Man and Electro is probably the highlight of the film for me, considering that I didn't like it at all. This is probably the film that the only scene that I actually kind of like. I actually didn't mind Electro's theme, the dubstep thing. I actually didn't really mind it that much.
They lied to me, they shot at me, and now they're all my enemies.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mind it.
I gotta say, I love the score of the movie. How they did that. How they used the musical themes of Electro being a schizophrenic guy going insane with the voices in his head. And with Peter, it was the spider sense. I love those moments.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I liked the line when Spider-Man comes into that Times Square fight. He captures the cop car. Oh, glad you're not one of those cops that rides a horse. Anything?
Yeah, that's classic Peter. And another thing about the crowd shot where they're not really paying attention. This is a world where they just had a lizard guy and a guy who can just fly around the buildings using webs to swing across. And in my personal headcanon, I'd say the Avenger movies and everything also take place in this world. Maybe a little bit differently, but they still happen. So these are people who are used to superheroes, in my opinion. So they were just like, okay, it's a blue guy with electricity.
I don't know if you... Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think I could ever get used to a world where there was a giant lizard man running around.
Yeah, I don't think I could either. But then we get, the little interaction between Spider-Man and Max Dillon / Electro. It was a fairly good interaction between them. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. I felt that it was fairly well done. It was Spider-Man acted. Some people say Spider-Man was acting like a complete dick here, but he's like, "You don't remember me? No, should I? Because I've never seen you before in my life, bro. I don't remember a blue guy."
Yeah, and I actually I don't think I've actually said this before, but I think I actually made this point once, is that I think Tobey Maguire is better at being Pete, but I think Andrew Garfield's better at being Spider-Man. But that's just me. But like, because when he's like, because this is blue guy, when he touches something, it explodes, and then Peter he doesn't just immediately tackle the guy. He just says, let me help you. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, it's like, I can see that. I believe you. I can see you don't want to be here. I can see you're scared, and I can see you don't want to hurt anybody. And he's like, I don't want them shooting at me. And then he's like, you guys, this is my buddy Max.
Yeah. Nobody shoot him. And then he's like, we'll go somewhere and we'll talk about it. I'm like, oh, that's good. But then because I don't really, because I think Electro is kind of poorly written to begin with, but I'm still like, oh, that's fairly okay, I guess. He's actually trying to talk him down before he actually starts kicking his ass.
And then of course someone shoots at him. Electro goes crazy. Spider-Man tries to web him, and then Electro just destroys his web shooter, which was actually kind of a nice bit of science. You know what? I didn't mind that. But then it's like he gets Spider-Man. The way I took this scene was the fact that not only did Spider-Man forget who he was, but to me, it seemed like also he's mad that Spider-Man's now also getting all the publicity and doesn't care about Max. So that's kind of where I found the hatred from Electro to be coming from.
Yeah, I see your point there. That it does definitely read off as that. But I kind of I think we said it on the podcast before, where it was really weird how I can't remember. When I remember, I'll say it later. Somebody else go.
Yeah, it's just it was an interesting scene. I mean, I've heard a lot of people bitching that Electro just got pissed over one moment. I think it was more a combination of things. I mean, first of all, it's this guy's birthday, and he's been turned into this monster. Second of all, he's got police and cops shooting at him. SWAT team shooting at him. Third of all, he's just been betrayed by his idol and supposed best friend. And now all of this is happening. And this has all happened to this guy from what he knows to be the space of one day. That's got to be the worst birthday ever.
And also, you got a sense in the earlier scenes with the way how he already is fantasizing that Spider-Man is his best friend, and how he makes up this fantasy perfect birthday party club thing to Gwen. You get a sense this guy's not right in the head.
Yeah, this guy's and did anyone notice how he was like he's trying to flirt with Gwen because he slicks his comb over back and everything. He's like, I'm a Max, and Gwen's just totally oblivious to it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, because I know he's mentally unstable, so I was like, am I supposed to be creeped out by this? Because I'm kind of scared right now.
I kind of went along with it too, that there's a cute girl here, hi, my name is Max. He's kind of nervous about it. But when he gets to the point where he says, yeah, and there's going to be a lot of celebrities and kings and queens coming to my party, I'm like, okay, now you officially went to creepy, nutso crazy guy mode.
Well, personally, I just took that as a joke, but from what really got to me is like, dude, you're a 40-year-old guy and she's an 18-year-old girl. Quit slicking your hair back.
Wouldn't it be pretty crazy if, like, in the climax when Spider-Man's fighting Electro, that he sees Peter like hugging Gwen or something like that?
Oh, that would have been weird.
I was like,
I never knew why they didn't do that moment, because she comes in with the car and hits him. You think that would once again snap that she betrayed me too? It's the cute girl from Oscorp, and she did this to me. Why does everybody hate me? And I'm evil, and
yeah, like the one nice girl that's in my company just hit me with a car.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the final battle.
Okay, yeah. Moving on, I guess. I think there's.
Oh, and I remember what I was going to say earlier. Remember,
Okay.
I brought this up on the podcast weeks ago, maybe even months ago, when we saw this in the trailer, where he's all like, "You don't remember who I am." I'm like, if I was Peter, I'd be going, "Dude, you're blue skinned. I can barely see your face underneath that hood. I'm sorry if I don't recognize you right away."
Yeah, seriously, it's like, dude, you have way too high expectations.
And your voice sounds like a broken stereo.
Yeah, that was like, I mean, I get where he's coming from, because that's Max's character, but it's like, dude, come on. But we get the just little fight between Spider-Man and Electro. It's my birthday. Now it's time for me to light my candles.
Oh my god, that's Batman and Robin levels of one-liners.
I didn't mind that, because if there was one... What?
That's Power Ranger levels of, "You're in my fan club. Sorry, no autographs." And then the Pink Ranger uses a fan weapon.
Yeah, it's just... I personally didn't mind Electro's dialogue in this. Yes, it's cheesy dialogue, but to me, that's kind of what Electro was. He was a cheesy villain, so to me, it just fit his character, so I didn't mind it. But then, of course, we get Electro destroying Times Square, all that, and all out of nowhere, Spider-Man takes him down with a fire hose.
And then he disappears for the rest of the film until like the last 20 minutes.
I gotta say, I loved the way Spider-Man took down Electro with the fire hose. It's just like, all of a sudden, Electro's just blasting stuff, and out of nowhere, you just see this, like, water spraying at him. I laughed out loud when that happened, because it was just so random. And then you see Spider-Man wearing the fireman's hat, and he high-fives the firefighters like, "Mike, Big John, nice work, fellas. It's a pleasure doing business with you."
You get a sense that he's like, he knows these guys. It's like burning building because Shocker's using his shocker weapons. Fire department there. "Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, Spider-Man." It's like he knows these people, because how many times he had to save the city or save the day and stuff like that. It's like, "Yeah, John, what's up? Yeah, we just hosed down an electric guy. Done. Yeah, we did this just fast. It really escalated this time. Yeah, I'm surprised. Like, no one doesn't get this bad. I know." But yeah, thanks guys. See you guys later. Yeah, see you next week, Spider-Man, when the next thing happens.
Now, moving along from that scene, we get this is actually kind of an interesting review. We're like moving through the movie here, like scene by scene. I don't think I've ever heard a podcast or done a podcast where this has happened before. So this is actually kind of unique, which is kind of cool. But we move along. We get Peter in his bedroom, basically watching TV with all these news reports, and you get Harry watching the same newscast, and he drops the little square thing that Norman gave him on the table, and it opens up this list of files, and in it he finds, next generation military body armor, with all these things that I'm going to exposit for you, because this is just like exposition right here. And then you get, of course, the whole Richard Parker, Norman Osborn thing, which I gotta ask, like, are they trying to, like, retcon that Norman Osborn was his partner instead of Kurt Connors? Because that's kind of what it seemed like to me in this film.
Well, it's just Sony. That's my one line of defense. It's just Sony.
I didn't get that vibe. First, I want to go back to the scene with the newscast. I love it how the kind of comic book things, how Spider-Man has stopped Electro. The nerds are bringing that up as their theories of how he did it was, well, he used rubber gloves and he used a special suit, this stuff. It's like the stuff that in the comics they have used before to have Spider-Man take out Electro. I thought that was pretty cool.
And can I just say, this was the one part of the film where I rolled my eyes. What was that song that they played while Peter was constructing that, like, giant web of things on his wall?
it was some Mumford and Sons song, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what the name of the song was, but it was just like I heard that song because I've heard that song before, and I just rolled my eyes. I was like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
I was like, what is this? I was like, considering like I know Mark Webb's background is
Music videos.
yeah, and 500 Days of Summer, and I'm like, dude, this is Spider-Man. I mean, the dialogue earlier with Gwen Stacy was pushing it, but this is just ridiculous.
But I'll be quite honest, that song did not fit that scene at all.
No, it didn't. I was like, just have some like just have it silent or have some melancholy, melodramatic music or something. Just not the Mumford and Sons song just crowbarred into the film. It's like you could have handled that better. And I'm like, oh my.
Maybe it's
guys.
just because I don't like that song, but I just rolled my eyes when I heard that come on.
There was a similar thing in the first movie too. If you listen to the audio commentary, Mark Webb brings up the fact that when Peter's first doing the kind of learning the web swinging by jumping on the chains, that rock music. How he said, yeah, when I do a movie, what I do is with every scene before we get the score in, I put popular music at the time that either I like or I think fit the scene. And by the time we are in the editing room, we mostly clear it. But for this song, I really liked it that I had him say, no, we have to keep this in and get the rights in because I want to have this song in there. I got a feeling that might have been a case here, too, with that song. That he liked it so much that he said, we have to keep this in the movie.
You're referencing the skateboarding montage from the first movie with that song.
Yeah, where he's jumping on the chains, and you kind of get a sense that that's how he's learning how to web swing.
My problem with this is the fact that this song didn't fit the scene at all, while that song did.
Yeah.
That's my problem with this one is just... This, it's like...
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I'm
saying he got the sense probably, I like the song, and it didn't work at all.
Yeah, it's just like...
Because he's the director, that's what they went with.
I was just like, what the hell? Where is this coming from? This makes no sense. But, we move along, Harry finds all the files and everything. Peter tries to, do the experiment with the battery. Has anybody tried to search out that YouTube video of that guy going, explode?
What I want to know is the fact that I thought Peter was supposed to be a genius. I mean, he makes that automatic door lock and that mobile, that cell phone radio in the first one. I'm like, I was like, wait a minute. So he needs YouTube to help how to understand the laws of electricity. And it's later on where Gwen's like, don't you remember 8th grade science class with the magnetism? I was like, wait, he doesn't remember 8th grade magnetism yet. He can build web shooters, door locks, and cell phone radios.
Yes, but this is also coming from the same girl who knows how to shut down or how to reset an entire power plant.
Yeah, that bothered the hell out of me. It's like, this is the most poorly designed power station I've ever seen. You can turn it off by pressing a button. Yeah, you can have lots of keys or something like that, lots of switches. No, one button.
Trust me,
Boom,
it's always the red button.
Yeah, the power to the city goes down by pressing one button. Oh, damn it, Bob, you leaned on the button again, didn't you? Yeah, sorry.
Speaking of the latest scenes from the trailer, about the Harry montage where he's with Peter. I mean, not the montage, but the scene where he's with Peter and they're watching the video of their dads. Does anybody else get a sense that that's the scene where the whole scene where he goes, my dad's been keeping an eye on you? Why? Wasn't that the question of the day?
Oh, yeah,
because
it was the same.
Yeah, I was looking for that. It wasn't there.
Yeah, that was the main thing that was glaringly cut from this movie, was that scene right there.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to do that. I thought that was going to be the motivation for Harry to become the Green Goblin. Like, he wants Peter for some reason. I thought that was going to be the part of the film. Like, he wants Peter for some reason, he knows he knows that he's Spider-Man, and then he goes after him as the Green Goblin. But that doesn't happen until later in the movie because that happens halfway through. And
this is kind of going backwards in the film as well. Did anyone notice that when that manservant, Harry's in the meeting with the board of directors, the manservant comes in and says, "Sir, there's a Peter Parker here to see you," and Donald Mencken just gets this look on his face like, Peter Parker? I'm wondering if maybe that was supposed to be in line with this whole plot of Oscorp has had Peter Parker under surveillance. Because it's a very, very quick moment. It's like 2 seconds. But I noticed it and I thought to myself, wait, is there supposed to be something to that? Because Mencken immediately turns his eyes when that manservant says Peter Parker. And I thought to myself, is there supposed to be something to that was cut from this movie? Or
well, in the first movie you get that sense because in the cut to the final, scene that's in the credits, remember the mysterious guy shows up into Connors, and he says, "We've been keeping a close eye on Parker."
Yeah, he's like, "Did you tell the boy the truth about his father?" All that stuff. So there was. I mean, something I'd be interested in. I would love to get a look at the original script for this movie, because I think there's a lot that was left on the cutting room floor. I definitely think there was.
I think there's probably going to be a lot of bonus scenes on the DVD when it comes out. I think it's going to be a lot. Because, I don't think they're going to include it on the DVD, but, Mary Jane was supposed to be in this, but they cut it out.
Which, honestly, was probably a better decision.
Yeah, way better decision, because this film is cluttered enough as it is.
Well, she does kind of have a cameo at the ending, but that's more just she's in a background shot where she's from behind. So hopefully you didn't notice her.
Was she?
Yeah, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't see her.
When Rhino, outside a cafe or something, when Rhino drops a car in another car, you notice a split second, there's a redhead girl in a jacket, and people are saying that's, what's her name? What's the name of the actress who played her?
Shailene Woodley?
Shailene Woodley. They said that's her. And because you can notice that it's her from behind shots when you've seen her in other movies or something like that. It's her.
Oh, see, I doubt it. I think that's just people, shoving shit in their throats.
Oh, I thought you were going to say maybe it was at Gwen Stacy's funeral or something, and he turns around.
That's what I thought you were going with.
He turns around and goes, "Oh, hey, I'm Peter Parker. What's your name?"
Hey, Mary Jane. Hi.
Face it, Tiger. She's in the ground.
That's better. Guys, it's better.
That's cold.
The ending of issue 122, where he's with Mary Jane in their end, they recreate that whole scene with Mary Jane, but you had no other scenes with her in the movie. So it's like, who the hell are you?
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot. What the hell?
Why do you care about normal people like me and Mary Jane? I mean, me and Gwen Mary Jane. And it's like, where did Mary Jane come in this movie? Did I miss something?
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, that whole... that was interesting.
But about the video, where did they try to retcon Connors? I didn't get that vibe. I got a sense that Richard Parker was the head of the experiments, that why Norman went after him, why he was re-racing everything, and that Connors was just his partner that he was working with. So when he went to the board of directors with the video, it's Richard Parker who's there, while Connors is in the background working on the stuff.
Yeah, I can accept that. But we get the scene, Gwen looks up Max Dillon in the computer, all the files are erased, and apparently looking up somebody in a computer warrants your arrest. Yeah, that was weird, but I guess since they are obviously trying to cover up Max Dillon's quote-unquote death, I guess that kind of makes sense. Then you get that old scene with Peter and Gwen in the closet, which was decent enough, but what I really want to talk about is Peter spilling the latte while simultaneously tripping another guy and then punching another guy in the face. It was this sequence of hijinks from Peter Parker, that I absolutely loved. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was a funny moment. It felt really Three Stooges, and you didn't really necessarily need it. You could have just had him bump into the guy and go, "Oh, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Hey, I'm here to see Harry," or whatever. And then he's distracting the guy quick enough. The slapstick, I felt like you could have cut a little bit out of that. And just if you would, it would have worked better if it just when he bumps into the guy going, "Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, do you know where Harry Osborn is? I'm Peter Parker. I'm here to see him," or whatever. And then the guy's trying to get away, and Peter's just asking him 100 different questions like that. I think it could have worked better there because the Three Stooges slapstick just felt too much. Like, we're trying to be funny here for the kids.
It's pretty lucky that Harry didn't see that, considering he was in the elevator that Gwen went in.
Yeah, he goes, "Gwen Stacy." It's like, who does that? That is so creepy.
I know.
How Gwen's... Just think about it. The 2 times Gwen has been in an elevator, 2 creepy guys are going, "Gwen Stacy."
And and coincidentally, they're the 2 villains in the film.
Wouldn't it be weird if she got into an elevator one time and there's just the Rhino just up there? "Hey, how's it going?"
That would have been weird as hell.
Every day she went to work while she was working at Oscorp, she goes in an elevator. "Well, how's it going, Miss Stacy?" "Pretty good, Mr. Brock." "How's it going, Miss Stacy?" "Pretty good, Mr. Octavius." It's every Spider-Man villain. "Hello, Dr. Morbius." "Hello, Gwen."
Hey, Miss Stacy. Oh, hey, Cassidy. You all right? Yeah, yeah. What about you? You smell nice.
Hey, Miss,
That was creepy as hell, Ed.
He has a Cletus Cassidy badge.
hey, Miss Stacy, can I ask you a question here on the elevator? Sure. What do you need? Can I have a little piece of your hair? Why? Because I'm doing a cloning experiment. Oh, okay. Hey, I just happen to have a piece of my boyfriend's hair. Do you want that for DNA too? Sure, I would love that. Sure thing, Professor Warren. Sets up its own saga.
No!
No.
No!
Oh God, no. Oh, hey, Mr. Mephisto. You want my you want my marriage? Sure.
Oh God.
No, please, no! Worst Spider-Man story of all time.
A fat guy's in the elevator with her. Hello, Mr. Fist. Do you want to put a hit on my boyfriend's aunt so that way he can do a deal with Mephisto? Sure.
And that way he can go all emo and redon the black suit for a 12-story arc? Or 12-issue arc or whatever?
I think that's going to be the next film. I think he's going to get the symbiote in the next one.
Oh, so they're going to do the exact same thing Spider-Man 3 did in their third movie. Wonderful.
Maybe, because, he's really depressed at the end.
Yeah, but, then we get the Ravencroft scene with Dr. Kafka.
Oh,
and,
I hate that guy.
Dude, I have heard so much backlash against this character.
It's because he's German and he looks insane. He's like, hello, Electro.
Okay. I got two things to say about the scene. One, this is like the only thing on George Berriman's review of this movie that I agree with was the Kafka thing, even his joke about how they gave her a dong. And my second thing is when I first saw him, the German accent, the goggles, he's kind of short. You got a sense that he's working for Oscorp. And I knew about the Otto Octavius legs later on that was going to appear some point in the movie. I thought they were going to name drop Otto. He's going to say, I'm Dr. Octavius. And I thought, oh God, that's going to set up Octavius. And I get Kafka, and I'm like, wait, what?
I'm Dr. Kafka. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about you guys, but I think Ravencroft's working for Oscorp. I don't know about you, but...
Oh yeah, they are. That's established.
Yeah, I know. I was just joking. I was like, this Ravencroft race is pretty suspicious, isn't it?
It's like this guy. I mean, I honestly think that this guy could have stepped out of Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, probably. And they keep Electro in a dunk tank.
Well, because water took him down the first time. But I just gotta ask, it's like, okay, so does Electro not need to breathe anymore? I assume not.
And in order to keep him under control, they zap him with electricity. I was like, don't do that!
No, what they were doing was they were testing his power.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you zap him with electricity, I don't think that's a very good idea.
Because Harry does the same thing later to try to give him power.
Yeah, he tases him, and I'm like, I'm not sure that's a good idea, testing his capacity. I was like, that's kind of dangerous, isn't it? I thought he would have tried it, but anyway, that's just another thing.
Another really kind of weird thing about that scene is it did kind of, like you said, about the trailer kind of be misleading. You see that shot of the trailer with him with all these wires coming out of, and he's all like, they're going to have a world without power, a world without Spider-Man. You got a sense that that's probably him recharging himself in some secret underground lair. Nope, it's him. He's hanged up by some German guy, and he's being waterboarded. What?
Yeah, it was weird. It's like, he's like, you better be damn sure you kill me this time, because if not, I'm going to kill the light. And it's just like, okay,
I'm Electro now. I was like, where'd you come up with that name? I don't know.
Don't
just
you know?
It just
I'm
looks.
Electro.
It just sounds cool.
He goes, even funnier. He goes, how did you come up with that name? I don't know. All of a sudden, Stanley comes in. Well, I came up to Steve Ditko one day and said, we need a new villain. And he goes, how about a lightning guy? And I was thinking, what can be an easy name for me to remember? And I thought, Electro sounds cool. Excelsior, second cameo. And he just walks away.
Did we mention Stan Lee's cameo at the graduation scene? I don't think we did. Did anybody have any thoughts on that?
It was kind of funny, because all of his cameos are funny. I think I know that guy.
I liked that one because the ones where like he's just random background people is cool, like in the Iron Mans and the X-Men. But the one cool thing I liked about the second Fantastic Four movie, the third Spider-Man of the Raimi trilogy, and this one, you got a sense it's Stan Lee making a cameo in these movies. How you had in that one where he tries to go in the Reed Richards wedding and he's saying, I'm Stan Lee, and they won't let him through. He goes, no, you don't get it. I'm a big deal here. And then with Spider-Man 3 where he comes up to Peter and goes, well, I guess you can make a difference. Enough said. And in this movie, hey, I know that guy. I got a sense that's actually Stan Lee, and that's just epic.
Yeah, I love Stan Lee.
Yeah, my favorite cameo of his was probably in Spider-Man 3. He's like, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said. I was like, fucking A.
Yes.
Because I got a sense there. He's like, yeah, I'm from a world where you're a comic book, and she dies, and she actually lived in this series. So I guess you can make a difference. Enough said.
Yes.
Or can you imagine, like, when in the bit where Peter and Gwen are talking on top of the bridge, just Stan Lee just walks past him. Oh, excuse me.
That would have been awesome.
No, even better, because we know who actually wrote the death is Gary Conway. Gary Conway. Shot.
Oh, that would have been epic.
And I actually liked his appearance in the first Amazing Spider-Man when the Lizard and Spider-Man are fighting in the background and he has headphones on.
I love it. I can see it now, how they would do the Gary Conway cameo. It's when she's looking at the bridge, right, with the whole I love you web, and then he bumps into her. Oh, sorry, I hope I didn't make you fall. Wink.
That would have been epic. I would have fan moment. Oh my gosh, I would have had a total nerdgasm at that. But we get next we get the scene of Peter and Aunt May in Peter's bedroom, and Aunt May's like, what the hell, Peter? You're dreaming about your perfect father who was never here.
Best scene in the entire Spider-Man series.
Personally, I love that scene. I felt Sally Field didn't really impress me in the first movie. She knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, I was like, because like this is actually kind of weird. I was actually thinking about this when I was walking out. I was like, that was probably the best scene in the entire series, like including Raimi's films, because that was fucking sad. That was really sad. I was actually felt,
especially in the Raimi film, you got a sense that she was just there for the motivational pep talk. Kind of every line of dialogue was some motivational pep talk or guilt trip or exposition for him. Where in the first one, in this one, you got a sense that she's actually somebody who's actually a living human being. She's not there just to give the pep talk.
I liked her in the Raimi films. I liked her a lot, but like in this one, it was actually just really sad because your father left you here. I raised you. You're my boy. You're my boy. And I was like, dude, that's sad.
What really got to me was when she said, I was the one who wiped your nose and made you brush your teeth and do your homework and all that. Me, your stupid, non-scientific aunt who doesn't know how to make ends meet, who has to take nursing classes with 22-year-old kids so I can pay for you to go to college, and I don't know how to do this without Ben. That got to me.
That was, I will admit, as much as I didn't like the movie, Jesus, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I got the emotion there because in a lot of ways, if you notice, she brings up, I wish your Uncle Ben was here at the graduation, and the first words that come out of Peter, you got a sense that she almost feels like we're the ones that raised you and your uncle's dead, and you feel more like you feel grieving over your parents where your uncle's dead and he's the one who raised you, he was the one who was your father, and you kind of brush it off and going, yeah, I wish my parents were here too.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, but I do get where people are coming from with that. But it's like, she tells him that basically that his parents were traitors and they betrayed everyone for the money. I thought that was a nice callback to the comic books because Peter's parents were originally thought to be traitors, and then of course it was proven that they weren't. And then, I just thought that was a nice callback to the comic books. It's not because, of course, you don't have anything to do with the Red Skull in this series, but still you have the whole aspect of them.
Spider-Man killing the guy?
Yeah.
Or Spider-Man killing the guy. I still love that. He blows up. I still love that comic where he just blows up the finisher. It's like, well, I guess the finisher is finished. It's like, Peter, you just killed the man.
Dude, it's like, yeah, so much for Spider-Man doesn't kill people. Yeah, Amazing Annual number 5, for anyone who doesn't know that, released in 1968 something, maybe. I don't know. Shit, where was I even going with that? But it was nice that they were kind of referenced as traitors because that was a nice reference to the comic book, and then of course we get the proof that they weren't. But it was just a nice little. To me, it was kind of a fan wank. I don't know.
Yeah, because they used the word traitors to loosely there. Like She could have just said they betrayed Norman Osborn, or they weren't he ended up being a crook. He wasn't the man I thought he was. The whole fact that they used he was a traitor. It's like they wanted to see it's the homage to the comics where they were spies for Shield. Wait, we can't say Shield, so they were still traitors, and the FBI was after them. But that's because they fucked over Norman Osborn.
Yes, that was that was really nice. And then of course you get Peter's reaction from, he's just staring at the wall, and you can just see it's just like his whole world has just collapsed. Everything.
Now, here's where one of my complaints come in, and it involves other scenes where I would have rearranged them better. So I'm just pointing this out when I bring it up later to people that are going to be listening to this. This is the start of where my one major complaint from the movie goes.
This traitor parent scene right here?
What he does with this information after it.
Oh, but then we get possibly one of the best scenes in the movie, which was Spider-Man visiting Harry at his home, and basically he tells Harry, I can't give you my blood, and it's like, it's too dangerous. And what I loved was Harry was like, all right, how much? How much what? How much do you want? You want a boat? You want a plane? You want money? How much do you want? I don't want your money. Come on, everybody wants my money! That was awesome. I love that.
Actually, this is probably another scene that I didn't like. Was mainly because like he's saying that I want like, how much do you want? And that was because it's Harry Osborn. I love Harry Osborn in this. And then he's like, I can't give you my blood because you might die. And he goes, I couldn't be more dead. And I was like, he's right. Because this is what was really weird, was because that you're not protecting me, you're protecting yourself. And I was like, he has a point. You're a dick, Spider-Man. Because this is what is kind of weird, is that I understand what he's saying, Spider-Man. I mean, not what he's saying is like, he could die. I was like, well, he's going to die anyway. This is a chance that it could help him. And the board.
I agree with you, and that's why I come up with my big complaint that I'm going to say later with a later scene where they all connect, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then there's the board of directors are trying to get Harry off the throne, basically, and I was like, I don't know why they're going to all this trouble to get him off throne. He's going to die, and they have no way of curing him. And then the suit, like, basically, and the venom that because he takes the Spider-Man venom, doesn't he? It basically just mutates him. I'm like, well, he's kind of alive.
We'll get to that. But before we leave off on this scene, I want to discuss what Harry does after Spider-Man leaves and he's like outside the window. You see from outside the window, Harry loses it. He's like, ugh. He smacks the window. You're a fraud, Spider-Man! And then flips the table. And I was just like, dude, holy shit, that guy's desperate. I mean, I get it. He's dying. Who wouldn't be? But to me, that scene really signified just how angry and desperate and just determined Harry was to live. So that scene really got to me.
Oh, I just love Dane DeHaan. He's good.
Yeah, he's a great actor. Easily a great actor.
I actually felt kind of bad for him because when he actually does go full Goblin, he doesn't really have much to do. Because I think when they announced he was going to be Green Goblin, I was like, yeah, I want to see that. Because I don't know, because I loved him in Chronicle. Jesus Christ, he was fucking great in that. And I was like, I want to see this kid on a Goblin glider because that'd be really damn cool.
I didn't see Chronicle, but I was really impressed with Harry in this movie. And then of course we got the scene of Peter and Gwen with Gwen's last interview for Oxford, which is something we've completely skipped over. But honestly, I have a question. What the hell was the point of that? Because it ultimately does come to nothing. Because she dies first. So there was really no point to that.
This is something that I hated as well, was the fact that the romance in this played out like the most cliche romantic comedy ever. I mean, there's the dialogue, I mentioned that before. I won't dwell on that anymore. But like, it's just, I was just waiting for, when she goes into her interview, like, and then I was just, and like she rings him saying, I passed the interview. I'm going to England right now. My schedule changed. I'm going to go to the airport right now. I was just waiting for Peter to be sat at home. Then Harry comes in, just puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "You can still catch her. Run." and he just he just swings to the airport or something.
You know what? Honestly, I could have seen that with this movie. I'll be quite honest with you.
He's like, you can still catch her, bro.
And then if you do that, maybe she can convince you to give me the DNA, or the spider blood, or whatever it was.
And it was just like, to me, it's like the Oxford. I know it was brought in there to kind of like keep them apart, but really, it really does come to nothing. It's just like the Oxford subplot was completely pointless.
I think I saw their reasoning for putting that scene in there. And I agree that why it's bad. And I think Ed might agree there. It felt like, especially with the dialogue that Peter had with the secretary, how he was doing all the cliches about, England and being British and all stuff. It felt like, get it? Andrew Garfield is British. Get it?
Who am I? I'm John Hopkins. I'm one of the young professors at Harvard, and that was hilarious. I like that. But it's just like the Oxford subplot really does come to nothing. It's just like, it's put in there to keep them apart, but what does it accomplish? Nothing.
It just has a fake drama to it.
And really, it doesn't even do that, because by that point, they've already established that they're friends.
They love each other, because he writes "I love you" in huge webs on the bridge. Good job hiding your identity, Spider-Man.
To be fair, if anybody drives by and sees it, they just think that Spider-Man wrote "I love you" to somebody. They don't necessarily know it's her. But anyways,
he swings down and catches it. I'm like, dude.
Oh, you should have been here when some dumbass thought that was Electro when that first showed up in a trailer.
What? Right? What do you mean?
Some person on a Spider-Man forum, because that scene where she was where Spider-Man swings down and grabs her after she sees the "I love you" on the bridge, he's like, they see Spider-Man come down and swing and catch her, but some dumbass on a forum thought that was Electro, and we were like, dude, he's swinging on a web. Electro doesn't swing.
I heard a few. That's how he grabs her, and it's the bridge, and it's like, it's a web.
It's like, dudes, that's clearly Spider-Man.
He's unless he just pulls the masks off and Electro's under it. That would have been pretty funny.
That would have been the biggest mindfucking movie history.
Oh my gosh. Are you Electro or the freaking chameleon?
Anyways, about the Oxford subplot, I felt like that ultimately that was just their another nod that she's going to die. Because in the comics around the time of her death that she did go away to Europe, and then retcon later she had the Stacy twins. But so that was like their homage to her going out to Europe and stuff like that, and that was their way of doing a little nod and saying wink wink she's gonna die.
It's like, because really, what does the Oxford subplot do for their relationship? Nothing.
Yeah, I just adds a fake drama to it, like a fake tension.
Because they already broke up, and he's the one who doesn't want to be with her. So if they would have just kept that part out of it, if they would have either A, had them still be together and she was thinking about going, or B, they were broken up and didn't bring up the Oxford, you would have had the same drama no matter what.
I actually got confused halfway through because they break up and get back together. Like, they're flirting with each other and getting back together and breaking up. And I'm like, are they together or not? Because I was actually getting quite bored. I was like, what's going on?
To me, I didn't take it that they were back together until that moment on top of the bridge.
Back then I actually got some clarifications. Like, oh, they weren't together. Now they are. Okay.
Yeah, but then, we get that whole scene, and that's just, yeah. And then we get the scene of Peter chucking the calculator against the wall and the tokens falling out. Who the hell puts tokens in a calculator?
I don't even know. I mentioned this before. Like, who was he expecting to find? Who was he expecting to find this subway car? If he wanted someone to find it, he should have put the tokens in the secret compartment in the bag, not put them inside a calculator.
Yeah, let's just talk about this subway car thing. Holy shit.
No, let me go to the calculator part, because this is a con I brought up that I felt like about this movie too. And it's not a major one, but I did agree with you guys. I'm like, well, how did he expect Peter to ever find it in the calculator? Did he, like, maybe he gave like a secret code on something, and Peter looks at it and it says calculate this or something like that, and he realizes, like, what does it mean? And he somehow presses one of the keys and it causes it to open up and he sees the coins, and it makes him go, so that's what Roosevelt is. No, it's just like, I'm mad, I throw it, Hulk smash. Oh, there's coins here.
Plot point.
Plot device. Peter mad. It was to me that didn't make any sense, but I was just like, let's talk about this subway car thing. A lot of people are bitching about this, and I understand why, but to them I say, this is Oscorp. I honestly don't doubt that something like this exists.
I'm surprised that Oscorp didn't find it already and taken all the stuff inside.
Maybe, I don't know, but maybe this is just Richard Parker's secret underground lair that he used Oscorp funding to get. I don't freaking know, but
yeah, you've seen the film multiple times. Like I remember this. I'm probably wrong, but like when he turns on the computer, it says upload complete or something like that.
Download complete.
Yeah, or it's at 99% and then just goes to 100%. It says download complete.
Yeah, and then he hits a button, and then all of a sudden the video file comes on, and
yeah, I was like, he recorded that like 15 years ago.
I just want to believe that was just like preset to just play on there or whatever. It's like I have no idea. Like, this is kind of a mind fuck for me.
I'm going with it's a comic book. There's a guy flying around in a glider. There's a guy shooting webs out of a watch-like thing. It's a comic book.
It's a comic book movie, and honestly, I just explained that away with this was a guy who worked for Oscorp. I just explained it away with that. I mean, yes, it's ridiculous, and it's stupid, but it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I mean...
I think It's a Comic Book is the everything-proof shield.
Yeah, but... It's just, to me, it didn't bother me. It's like, more than the whole it's a comic book excuse, it just, to me, it was like, okay, this is a guy who works for Oscorp. I can kind of believe it, but you know what?
And this brings up my complaint I said with the earlier scenes. Okay, after the Aunt May scene where she's like, it's my boy, and here's the truth about his father. If I was the person writing this movie, just to give more of some Peter and Harry and more believability for why he does what he does later with the death of Gwen and becoming the Green Goblin and stuff like that, to give a little more believability, I would have had another scene where either Peter's on the phone or he goes and meets Harry. Now knowing that his dad, according to his aunt, betrayed Harry's father out of a cure, and Harry has the same disease, Peter says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to get the blood sample. I'm going to go get Spider-Man for you. Let me go get Spider-Man for you. I'll tell him this because I want to help you because he feels bad for what he thinks his dad betrayed Norman. Then you have the scene with he finds Roosevelt. Then he sees the proof how the DNA is only set for his blood, how it can kill somebody else if they even try it because that's a defense mechanism because what happened with Norman, and that it wasn't that his dad betrayed Norman, it was Norman betrayed his dad. Then you have the scene where he comes in and says, I can't help you, Harry. And then it gives Harry even more reason because both Peter and Spider-Man gave him this false hope that he got completely shattered now.
I see where you're coming from with that. Personally, I thought it was fine how it was done, but I do see where you're coming from with that. But at the same time, while this scene is playing, you get Harry is looking through the special projects files, which Felicia just happens to know about because she overheard Mencken talking about it. Yeah.
That was just like in Spider-Man 3 where the butler goes,
there.
oh yeah. Yeah, it was like the butler in Spider-Man 3 where he comes like, oh yeah, by the way, Harry, your father was a Green Goblin. I cleaned his wound. He killed himself. I was like, thanks for telling me.
That sucked, by the way.
I mean, I kind of defended it because like he was like, I did it because I didn't want you to go down a dark path. I was like, oh, okay, but still, it would have been nice to mention it.
But he caused him to go down a dark path by that.
Yeah, because it's like, how many times did Harry try to destroy Spider-Man?
Yeah, he tried to kill him, and he tried to destroy him emotionally. I was like, and he blasted his face off with a grenade. I think it's time to tell him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, screw trying to kill a guy.
Personally, I would have told him after Harry, tried to take Spider-Man with a knife and then pulled his mask off.
Yeah, or something.
the way that makes it the way if I would have done that, I would have done similar to what happened in 200, where he actually just came there to save Mary Jane, or Normie was in there, but obviously Normie wasn't in the Raimi trilogy. He goes in there to save Mary Jane, and Mary Jane goes, "No, you have to go back. You got to help Peter." And that realized he goes, "Yeah, Peter's my friend. I got to go save him." To hell with what I thought. I got to go save my friend. Then it would have been okay with it. It felt like we needed to give an absolute reason for the movie audience for why he would do it. Well, the butler explains that his dad was the Green Goblin and killed himself. And then, which gets to my point, if I was Harry, the next line that would come out of my mouth would have been, "You are so fired. How the did you not tell me sooner?" And then you start seeing the whole movie just being that the last half hour is just Harry ranting, cursing out this guy. "You mother beef! What the beef is wrong for you? You couldn't tell me what I'm trying with my beef and dad."
Or he could have just like
Post-credit scene.
Or he could have said, "I'm going to make you eat a whole bowl full of spider webs."
Oh, I thought you were going to say cow shit.
Harry isn't the Green Goblin at the time. Harry goes, "Oh, don't worry, Bernie. That's okay." I think the name of the guy wasn't like Bernie or something like that. "Don't worry, Bernie. No problem." The guy turns around. Harry just chucks a pumpkin bomb at him.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the ways to have made Spider-Man 3 better.
I think we should do a podcast on Spider-Man 3 because embarrassingly enough, I actually like Spider-Man 3.
All right. Maybe.
I actually like it too.
I like it too. I'll admit. So we all like it. So maybe look out for a Spider-Man 3 podcast sometime. Because we would be, the black sheep of the podcast or Spider-Man fandom, because we're the ones who are doing a review of Spider-Man 3 who give it a good review. What? What is this?
What?
Yes, that would make us unique in and of itself. That's probably what we'd be remembered for. Amazing Spider-Man Podcast. The guys who liked Spider-Man 3.
The unsubscribe button is right down below.
Yes. All right. So iTunes reviews 0 out of 5 stars. All right. So Harry looks.
He liked Topher Grace said Venom.
Harry looks through the files of Electro, looks at him, says, "What the hell?" And then all of a sudden, "Warning, your user access has been revoked."
You must join Gmail.
But then Mencken comes in. He's like, "What did you do?" The more important question here is, what did you do? An employee is killed, and in your first act as CEO, you cover it up? No, you covered it up, and you buried him in the bug house using my name. Man, it's creepy how much of this movie's dialogue I remember.
It's all Harry dialogue. I'm trying to think that you're obsessed with him, that you're the Maxwell Dillon of the real world.
Oh, shit. Well, no, I remember some... I've said some Spider-Man lines, too. But let's see, where was I? And then, they arrest Harry, all that. And then this is the moment where Harry snaps, and you can just tell the moment he says, wait, he looks down, he looks up slowly, and he's just got this evil, insane look in his eyes, and he's like, "I know my way out." That was the moment where Harry snapped. That was the moment.
That's the moment that the Green Goblin is born.
That is the moment. You can tell.
Actually, this is something that I actually thought was going to happen. Because I don't know if you know this, but if you go back and watch the trailer, there's a scene where you see Harry as the Green Goblin in the Oscorp building. Like, he's on top of his glider, and I think there's somebody looking at him through the window.
Yeah, Felicia.
Was it? Oh, I thought he was going to come back and kill all the board members or something like that.
Apparently, I actually, someone on our forum told me that there is a deleted scene where he actually does kill Mencken.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But it wasn't in the film, so I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, the first he had the deleted scene where Connors kills what's his name, and then he disappears after the midway point of the movie.
Yeah, Rotha, the lizard, supposedly eats Rotha's head off, or something like that.
I heard he just slashes him and he drops dead. Because they didn't want to go too gory, so he just slashes him and he drops dead. Because I've never actually seen the scene.
Oh, it's like he and the lizard and Peter are in the sewer. They're talking and stuff. Rotha comes in and tries to kill Connors. Rotha talks to Peter, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the lizard appears and chomps his head off. Yeah, it's not really a big scene. It's probably better that it was cut. But then we get just basically Harry goes to Ravencroft to free Electro, and I gotta say, I love the scene between him and Electro. I really did, because he's like, Electro's like, I should kill you, and Harry's like, come on, think bigger, Max. I love that. It's just, Harry's not afraid of this guy. He knows how to play this guy, and it's absolutely awesome.
Harry's full-on supervillain now. That's what it is.
And then, of course, there's the whole thing of, I want you to find Spider-Man, and I want you to make him bleed! And I was just like, holy shit. That's a little bit...
Which, I like the context now that we got for that, because when you first see it in the trailer, you get a sense this is nutso Harry wanting him to kill Spider-Man. I want you to make him bleed. Where here you get a sense of, I don't care if he lives or dies, just get the blood so I can live.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, of course, the line that is said so many times to Max in this movie, give me one reason why I should trust you. Because I need you! And he's like, you need me? Yes, I need you. And then he just screams that like 10 times. And then all of a sudden, Electro gets this power to, disperse himself, and then zaps all 5 security guards at the same time. Which was actually kind of cool. But then, of course, Electro and Harry team up, and what the hell happens after that? I don't even remember.
They go to Oscorp, and then you have this part where they kill Macon, but yet they bring him back alive.
Oh, yeah. My, oh my, how the tables have turned. It's hard to admit, but how spectacular a move is this? All right, so, fairy godmother, it is time to grant me a wish. I want in to special How dare you come back in here, you disgraceful whatever he says.
It's disturbing how much dialogue you remember.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know why I remember all this shit.
All I remember is he yells at Harry after Harry demands to go back in there, and then he gets killed, and he's like, okay, he's dead. Harry's going to find another way in, and then they bring him back alive, and that's the part of 2 where I'm like,
welcome back to the bonus round.
All I remember was wondering, where the hell did he get that black suit with the little lightning bolt on the side?
Oh, that's just movie magic. That's just...
Yeah, comic book.
Yep. It's a comic book movie, come on.
I was like, I missed the star. I want to see the starfish. Just something.
Oh, gosh.
I just love that crazy suit. It's so funny.
It's just like, well, they could have done that. Just Electro, had electricity coming from his face in the form of a starfish or whatever. It's just like, they could have done that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think some shot in the movie would be that where he makes the outlines of these starfish classic masks for a shot, and it's in the final fight where he says something like, I'm going to be a god to these people, and then you see it form, and then I would have been all, yay, cool, they made at least some reference besides a cake.
Yeah, that...
Because now the cake's a lie.
That would have been cool, I'll admit. Then Harry takes the spider venom, and... Now, can someone clarify this for me here? Does the spider venom mutate him, or does the spider venom accelerate his disease, which mutates him?
Well, it makes his hair look better.
Well, yeah.
Because now he looks like Sting from Dune.
Well, anything's better than an emo haircut, I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it gives him a better hairdo. And that actually confused me. I don't know if it mutated him, or maybe the venom was reacting badly with him, or...
That was how I took it, was that it was a bad reaction to the venom.
Yeah, or it was... Yeah, I thought he was dying, and then he put the suit on, and it kind of cut off the reaction.
To me, what I thought was happening was he took the venom, that cured the disease, but then turned him into the goblin. That's how I took it.
It wasn't really explained properly.
Yeah,
because he said later on it comes and goes when he's in Ravencroft. Spoiler alert. So I got a sense of it didn't cure him. It's just some days he has good days and some days he has really, really bad days.
Oh, what does
it? Kind of like that's why he's shaking.
Yeah, does it work like the Hulk then?
Oh gosh.
Whenever he dips into insanity, it just appears.
Because
kind of like kind of like the dual personality.
I got a thing to bring up with the spider venom. Okay, they've been saying in interviews, the directors and the cast and the writers and everybody and Sony about how they're planning the Venom spinoff, and you name dropped this as spider venom. Don't you think they should have just said poison or spider DNA or some spider blood? But because they use the word venom, they're clearly hinting at this somehow creating venom in later movies.
Oh, see, I didn't get that from it at all.
I swear. I swear, like I think somebody either said it or I read it somewhere. I swear I saw the word symbiote somewhere. I think it was on the special projects thing.
That's probably where it was, because I didn't hear anybody say it.
I swear I saw the word symbiote somewhere. I think it was on the special projects list. When he's looking through it on the table.
Yeah,
I think it was in that. I was like,
see it then there. That's your. I don't know why he would be back in Oscorp to get this stuff, but I can see something where maybe you begin Spider-Man 3 where he's coming to Oscorp to get the spider venom to make sure it cannot be in the bad hands. And then for some reason, the spider venom gets mixed in with the symbiote black suit, and that causes the comic symbiote that we know and love to be born somehow.
I don't know.
And it's got spider powers and stuff like that.
I'll be quite honest. I don't want to see Venom in this universe. So
yeah, I don't either. I don't really.
I just thought of it because the spider venom is already with Parker DNA. So when Peter puts on the black suit, the symbiote copies probably the Parker DNA or something like that.
It's it's possible, but I don't know. It's how the hell they're going to.
Because that's a name drop. When you say Venom in a Spider-Man movie, that's a name drop. I don't care how they worded it. You say Spider Venom, first thing I'm going to think is a black guy with a tongue and everything.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with John. I don't want to see a Venom in this because I never liked him as a villain. Honestly.
Well, it's not that I don't like him as a villain. I just know they're going to screw him up.
I don't like him because I actually kind of defended him in Spider-Man 3 because he's just boring to me. I never liked him.
I think we're guaranteed a better Eddie Brock as Venom in these movies for one reason, and one reason only. No Eric Foreman. It's a Topher Grace.
I think Eddie Brock might be Peter's other best friend from childhood that we never saw.
Yeah, that's
because
he did that in Ultimate. He did that in Ultimate where Eddie shows up out of the blue. Hey, I was your friend, Peter. Yeah, hey Eddie. And then 2 issues later, it's Venom.
All I'm thinking of is the opening of the Ultimate Spider-Man game. It's like our parents worked on this thing.
Yeah,
and now it's our inheritance.
Yeah,
it's like if they pull that shit in the next one, I actually probably won't mind because I actually like that game.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Hey, Electro's in it.
Oh yeah, he's all blue.
Yeah, and because
Times Square. You found him in Times Square. There's a connection here, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That can't be a coincidence.
Well, yeah, maybe. Although, what is it? I've completely forgot what I was going to say. Maybe. I think it was getting ahead. I think I'm getting a bit ahead, but it's when they blow him up, they blow Electro up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, he's not dead.
Oh no, there's no way he's dead.
No, because I think recovering from explosions is one of his main powers. It's like because
I think he just got away. That Peter thinks, oh my god, he's dead, but we saw him before form and go away. I think that was the symbol. I'm going to lose your bye.
Well, even Jamie Foxx said in an interview, you can't kill electricity. It just goes to another place.
Yeah, because I was, because the thing on the side of his head, when it dropped to the floor, I was expecting a post-credit scene where you see the power go back up.
Yeah, there's no way Electro's dead. I'd be very surprised if we don't see him again.
He's a Sinister Six heavy hitter, so...
Which is one of the things I really like about this trilogy compared to other superhero movies in general. None of the supervillains are dead. Like Norman, well, we know about the head thing, but...
I want to see that.
Norman, none of them are dead. Which makes it more feel like a comic book where they can come back later at any time to mess with Spider-Man. They're not just, you use them from one movie and they're dead.
Yeah. But as we move along, we get the whole scene on the top of the bridge. Spider-Man and Gwen, I'm just going to follow you now. I'm going to follow you everywhere. I'm just going to follow you the rest of my life. And I'm just like, okay, dude, you're 18.
Yeah, nobody makes stupid decisions at that age.
And then you get to the point of, so in New York City, you don't want to be with her because you're too afraid because you're Spider-Man and what's going to happen to her because if she gets hurt because of you. But then you say you're going to come with her to live in England. Okay, whatever. He's going to start a new life there. And then he has a line of, I wonder, is there crime in England? So he's symbolizing he's going to be Spider-Man anyways. So what was the whole point of goddamn freaking up with her then?
You know, they haven't caught Jack the Ripper yet. You didn't know that? That was great. But then...
Which, as a fan of 90s animated series, I know that that's not what they're referencing, but they have said if they got another season after the final season, that one of their plot lines was going to be Peter and Carnage for a time, and they revealed that Carnage was Jack the Ripper. So when I heard that line, I realized he's going to meet Carnage. He's going to meet Cletus Cassidy if he goes there with her.
Oh, gosh.
I was actually kind of I was just at that scene. I was like, okay, he could stay behind and protect New York. That's his job, or move to England and not do that. I was like, because like you just said, like, he's 18. You're a dumb shit teenager, man. Think this through,
dude. You're 18. You're probably gonna be broken up in 6 months. I'll be quite honest with you.
You can do Skype chats.
In the Chinatown scene where they're going to eat at the Chinese restaurant, Gwen says, "Not this. You keep on doing this to me." What if he had another goddamn guilt trip? Now he's stuck in a foreign land.
That would have been awesome.
Wait, he's in England. He just turns the news on. And there's like 6 superpowered dudes destroying shit. Oh crap!
Because this is Peter Parker. I mean, we all know this. We all love it. And I mean, when he was a member of the Avengers, they constantly made jokes about his guilt. How he would just turn on the news and it was like, it's raining in New York City today. Oh no, and May's stuck in the rain. I'm not there. It's all my fault. No, Uncle Ben. Like, he would do that and then be all like, I gotta break up with Gwen now. It's a sign. I'm sorry. I screwed up. It's my fault. Power and responsibility. That's how he is.
And the weather forecaster is just Dennis Leary.
It's just raining Dennis Leary's disapproving face. Oh no! He looks up and the sun is just Dennis Leary's face, just shaking.
Oh, and because he looks so similar to William Dafoe, there's some Dafoe cameos as he's some of the raindrops too.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
And then Toby Spider-Man walks by. That's how the movies are connected. I'm right. You just got the shot of the rain of the falling William Dafoe and Dennis Leary, and Toby Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2 just walks by.
Oh, that would be great. Mark Webb, please tell me you're listening to this podcast.
I think I might, when the second one comes out, I think I might actually edit that and then put it on the internet.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, we just made the plot for the next Spider-Man movie. Okay, they fight, Spider-Man goes, they fight Electro. There's a plot of 2 planes colliding, which really had no business being there.
Oh yeah, I got a tangent about that.
Go on it, because that's what we're talking about.
Oh, sorry, just give me a second. Hang on.
All right.
Well, I'm waiting for him. I'll just say my little thing. I actually kind of liked it, because it was just adding drama. It's the whole, the planes are going to crash together, and they got to make the turn in time, and so I can see that, because you got to have some kind of suspense as he's fighting it. Because all the suspense you got is power outage. You need to have something that's actually, in danger.
Yeah,
where somebody can lose their life.
This is one of the worst parts of it, because like it just adds a ticking clock to the equation. It has no business in being there, because honestly, this is what bothered me. It's like, okay, take a step back and look at this. Spider-Man is fighting Electro at a power station. Electro's power is electricity. He's at a power station. This is not intense enough.
Yeah, and I'll be quite honest with you. I didn't have a problem with the 2 planes colliding. It's just like I didn't feel it needed to be there. I didn't have a problem with it. It didn't need to be there. It was fine for what it was. I didn't need it to be there. But then, of course, the one thing that did kind of nag me a little bit was, this 18-year-old intern knows how to reset the entire gosh damn power station.
Yeah, that was kind of just a button, button.
Is there an Oscorp? Well, it's an Oscorp design, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like, why are they giving these designs to an intern?
And I like how anyone can use it.
She was Connor's like number one guy, technically.
That was with genetic experiments, dude. He was like not with like electricity and power systems.
But
and
she's still an intern.
She's really smart. They did not know that this was going to be used for evil, reasonings. For all you know, this could have been before the events of the first one, because these were probably in development for years. He goes, "Hey, Gwen, check out these blueprints that we have for a power plant that's going to revolutionize energy in the city." And she looked at it, and she's just that smart that she has photographic memory. That's what I'm going to go with.
It's like, "Hey, Gwen, check this out. It's the new power station design. You can turn off the entire power in the city with a button. It saves time. It saves time, I'm telling you. We could put like 12 different keys into like, the controls, like lots of switches to turn on the tower power to our whole city. Nope, one button. Boom.
Plot device.
Yep. Just gives Gwen a job to do.
She's like, wouldn't that be a problem? No, Gwen, it's not a problem. Don't worry, this is Oscorp. We thought of everything. There's gonna be no problem. Oh yeah, here's also designs that we have for a certain little other side project we have. It's how do I explain this to you? I mean, it's kind of scientific. It's going to be really, really super hard to explain it. It's this suit that makes a person like a chameleon. You can put on the mask and you can look like anybody. There's some Russian guy who wants to use it, but here it is. It's a plan, and originally it was just going to be like some high-tech thing for undercover work, but Norman Osborn says it has to have some kind of animal theme, so we're going to call it the chameleon suit.
Yes. But I'll say the fight between Spider-Man and Electro, I really like this sequence because, damn, it's pretty to look at. It really is.
I don't know. I want to add this as well just before we move on. I don't know about you, but when they were walking around Oscorp, I wanted to see a fishbowl in the background.
When they were walking...
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to see a fishbowl with clouds in it.
Yes.
Because Mysterio is, I'm gonna admit, he's my favorite Spider-Man villain. I don't know why. I just love that guy. Just the ball on his head, and he's like a master of illusion. Because like I don't know. I hate to go off topic again, but like in the Spider-Man 2 video game,
where he turns the Statue of Liberty into the Mysterio statue.
Yeah, I was like, make a movie out of that. That was cool.
That was badass beyond all proportions.
And then like you take him down. You take him down in his funhouse, and then he's robbing a convenience store. You punch him once, and he gets taken down.
Yes, that was epic.
He has 8 health bars. You're like, oh shit, this is gonna be fucking hard. You punch him, he goes down.
That was epic. I love that.
I love Mysterio.
What were you saying, James?
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
No, it wasn't a big deal. I was just saying I agree with you guys. Like, Mysterio is somebody I have heard of people go, oh, he can't be done as a serious villain. Yes, he can.
That would be awesome.
Mysterio.
Like they just see green spandex and fishbowl head, and that's all they see when they hear Mysterio. But they don't think of it. If you just kind of you have that, but it's not the main focal point of the gimmick, and you have this guy who is using illusions to fuck with Peter's head, it can work really good, in my opinion.
All right, but thoughts on this Spider-Man Electro fight? It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I love the line of "I will be like a god to them." A god named Sparkles? I love that. That was awesome.
That is Spider-Man all the way. I can see in the comics reading a new issue with Electro where Electro says, "I'll be a god to the new world." A god named Sparkles? Shut up, Spider-Man. I can see that so much in the comics. That line is like right out of it. It felt like.
Well, unless Dan Slott, decides to completely just draw it out with this stupid dialogue. That
No. He has to go put a penis joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have to have Mary Jane closing her laptop and saying, "Idiot."
I actually like that scene. Every time I look at that panel, I get a sense that that's hinting that she still likes him. I don't care what you and Thomas said.
I still don't like that scene. But they defeat Electro fairly easily. But then, of course, during the fight, we get the dubstep theme of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and Spider-Man goes, "I hate this song." I don't know if anyone remembers that.
I didn't really hear it.
No, it's when when Electro's like going in between the pillars. It's like bum 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 or like whatever. It's like it's the Itsy Bitsy Spider theme.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, I thought it was happy. I thought it was Happy Birthday.
I don't know what I read it that it was Itsy Bitsy Spider, but
Oh, all right. I thought it was Happy Birthday.
I agree with Jonathan, but I also agree with Ed. I did not realize, right away. I just hear dun, 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 like I just hear the tillers going off. I don't hear music associated at all. And then I hear Peter say, "I hate that song," and I'm like, "Okay, what is he talking about?" And then I hear do 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 do, where you hear "Donkey in the Rain" and "Wash the Spider Out," and I realize, oh, it's that. But when I first hear it, you don't realize it.
yeah, it's like I didn't realize it at first either. But then he's like, "I hate this song," and then I actually started listening to it, and it's like, oh, that's what it is.
Which is not the first time a Spider-Man movie did that joke. I mean, the Green Goblin did it in the first Raimi. The itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the goblin and blew the spider out, or something like that. And then he shot the missiles. That was a great scene.
And then of course you get Gwen coming in, ramming him with a police car, and then she bitches Peter out. Really? You wed me to a car? What are you, a caveman? And it's like, bitch, get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, shit, dude.
I felt like this could have hurt her death moment, because then it really takes the whole, this is like the whole comic, no, she's dead and it's all my fault kind of thing. How she pretty much just says, no, I was coming anyways, and she came underneath her own free will. And she also says, no, Peter, this is my choice. I don't care what happens. This was my choice. It kind of took away from the whole, no, she's dead and it's all my fault kind of thing that Peter goes through.
I know a lot of people are saying it's out of character for her to do that because she's supposed to be portrayed as a smart, intelligent girl, yet she's going and trying to take on supervillains with no superpowers at all. Say what you will about that. I don't really have that big of a problem with it, but it is like, bitch, get out of here. Use your brain.
It separated this Gwen from like the Mary Jane and Gwen from the Raimi films, who felt like their only points in that movie were to be saved by Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where here she was proactive. It wasn't that she was there because Electro kidnapped her, or, well, Harry does technically kidnapped her, later. But she wasn't there because she was the focal point of the fight because he had to go save her. She came there on her own free will, and she was proactive by trying to take this guy out with a car.
Yeah. And then, of course, they defeat Electro, and then the Goblin comes in with the classic Goblin laugh, and...
Finally.
I gotta say, I know... I kind of understand why Spider-Man said it, but what did he really think he was going to accomplish by telling Gwen to stay where she was? Because personally, if there's a guy flying in on a goblin glider laughing like that, I'd say, get over here, I'm protecting you.
I got a sense if he doesn't know what it is at first, like, stay where you are, like, don't move, because he doesn't know what it is. He's just hearing a laugh in the background. He doesn't think it's Harry coming in a glider. So he doesn't know what's going on. He's saying, stay there, and once I know what's going on, get out of here or something like that. But I don't want you to lose you out of my sight. Just stay. Because he doesn't know if it's Electro doing anything, and she moves and he zaps her. So I can see his point. Just stand there, be still, don't move until I find out what's going on.
Yeah. And then we get the whole thing of, Harry comes in, and I actually like this moment a lot. He deduces Spider-Man's identity by Gwen's presence. I did actually like that. I felt that was kind of clever. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I felt that was kind of clever.
I felt like what might have been a nice touch is if he drops down or something and she says Peter, like not realizing that she says it. She goes Peter, and he hears the name and he goes, now it all makes sense now,
That would have been nice. That could have been cool, but given that she did that at one point earlier in the movie. But then, he kidnaps her, he takes her to the clock tower, drops her, and I gotta ask one question. Spider-Man and Gwen fall through the skylight. How the hell does Spider-Man not break his back when he hits that steel thing or whatever? When he hits that rafter?
There's a simple explanation for that. Proportionate strength of a spider.
I don't care. He hit that damn thing hard.
I thought it looked like Gwen had hit her head.
Well, she hits her head later in the movie.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just
okay,
like, it just
John, you posted a video on the front page where it shows an animated fight between Spider-Man and Iron Man in some like centuries or something like that, and they whack him as hard as he can, and he goes through a building and he just shakes it off. It's Spider-Man.
True. I guess that's true.
Comic book.
But I was just thinking, like, how the hell did he not just break his back? But then, of course, then it's really tense. I love how they did the tension with the scene with the Goblin, Harry, or Goblin, Spider-Man, and Gwen. But why he didn't just run and get Gwen to safety before fighting Harry, I have no idea. Because that's
Harry
what
just took off and grabbed her.
No, it's like after he had Gwen, he should have like just broken through the wall of the clock tower and swung off. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, because there was once. Yeah, he's just like he saves her once, doesn't he? He's talking to her. He's like, and he just. I was like, just point her to the door.
Yeah, it's just like get her out of there.
I got a sense of his best friend is now flying around as a maniac trying to throw pumpkin bombs at them. Because remember, he lands on the gear and then he turns his shoulder and there's a pumpkin bomb right there at him.
Yeah.
So I got a sense of he doesn't know what's going on. His friend betrayed him. He's thinking, I got to do something to save Gwen. And he's probably thinking back that I can't swing off with her because if we try to get out of here, we're sitting ducks because there's no way I can web shoot from this island. And Harry will take us out. So he's thinking, just stay here. I'll fight Harry. I'll try to talk him out of it or something. Just stay here now. And he's getting pumpkin bombs thrown at him. He has no time to think a normal reaction.
Another spectacular design by Norman Osborn. I want pumpkin bombs.
And they weren't even pumpkin bombs. They were just.
They may as well have been.
Awkward silence.
Well, they look like pumpkin bombs to me because they had that whole kind of almost like they were shaped like a pumpkin and they had that almost kind of orange tint to them.
I didn't see what they look like, but
they're like purple and orange with like a red dot in the middle, like kind of like a beacon or whatever.
Yeah, but it kind of looks like a squashed or a pumpkin kind of.
I debate that, but
something for the game even shows a photo of them, and they kind of even when you look at that photo, they look like pumpkin bombs.
All right, and we move along here. We get basically Spider-Man tries, Gwen falls, Spider-Man webs her, she hangs onto the web, and Harry attacks him, and all this time, basically, Spider-Man is holding everything, desperately trying to stop anything from moving. And then something happens, and a gear snaps the web, and Gwen falls. And then, of course, Harry is unconscious because Spider-Man put a web around his neck, which was kind of brutal. He basically choked him into unconsciousness, which I honestly thought was kind of brutal. And then he goes after Gwen, and he shoots the web. It's in slow motion. The web takes the shape of a hand, which I don't get why people are bitching about that.
I didn't like it.
To me, that was
it's so
like what?
It's such cheese.
When he shoots the web, it zooms in on the web, and the web kind of takes the shape of a hand. I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't really see it as it taking the shape of a hand. I just thought that was because that's how the webbing. I always assumed if it was real life, what it would look like.
Well, it takes the shape of what looks like a hand, and the internet just bitched about it, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. But the web doesn't reach her in time. She hits her head, and yeah, she's dead. And this brings ultimately to me the best scene in the movie. Garfield nailed this scene. I honestly, I said this in my review. Her death was really brutal. Because, you hear the snap. You hear everything. Her head hitting the ground, her body snapping, the web stopping, everything. You hear it. And it's really brutal. And it's just Garfield's face when he finally just admits to himself, because for about 30 seconds, he's lying to himself, and he says, no, you're okay, because he does not want to accept that she's dead, and then he finally stops lying to himself, and then he just breaks down, and to me, that was where his whole world collapsed.
Well, that's how it was in the comics, too. He's all like, wake up, kid, can't you see I saved you, I'm the hero, I saved you. So that was a cool way of taking that kind of cheesy 70s, 60s comic book lingo of, wake up, kid, don't you see? I saved you. I'm the hero. I saved you. And to update it, how he's like, no, breathe, and he's all like, like he's in denial. I love that, how they translated that in this movie.
I love the Gwen death scene. I mean, Ed, what did you think of it? It was
pretty. It was very heavy. I'll admit. I don't like the context behind it, but I mean, for what it was pretty heavy actually. I thought they were gonna maybe mess it up somehow, but it was actually pretty sad, honestly. For me, it was actually kind of a tense moment because I mean, the whole hand thing, thinking of the web hand, I was like, that's terrible. But yeah, I mean, like, I think because like I've said before, like Andrew Garfield he's a good actor, he honestly is, and I think there's actually where he shines because it's a really good scene. I just thought they were going to handle it poorly, but in terms of what it was pretty good, big punch to the heart, really.
I said this story last week, but in case people didn't, listen to last week's podcast or download it, when that moment happens and you have the sudden stop like it is in the comics, and you just hear this sound effect of either it's the web stopping her or the head hitting or the neck or something. But when you hear that sound effect from the sudden, and she just stops and she goes limp, I gasp, and I kid you not, every girl who was in that movie theater, if you were a female member of the human race and you were in that movie if you're watching it, they were bawling their eyes out. My sister couldn't hold it. The girl who was with her boyfriend behind us couldn't hold it. And when I'm walking out, after you get out of the dark room and you're going to the lights again and you're walking out of the movie theater, every other girl I'm seeing who's walking out with us from both the 2D and 3D showing, they're losing it. They're tears running down their face. That was an emotional impact that affected everybody who watched that scene.
I had a hard time watching the scene really up until the fourth time I saw the movie. I had a hard time watching it because it was just so powerful and so emotional. And Garfield's face, Garfield is the reason that scene is just so hard to watch, and not in a bad way. It's so emotional and so powerful, and they just nailed it. I said,
I read the comic, and you don't hear audio in a comic book. Like it's paper. And so you see the panel, you see the web, you see her stop, you see like the little snap, thing by her neck on the panel. And so you read it, and it's powerful. It's an emotional scene. But when you see it live action on the big screen, and you hear every sound effect, and you see how fast she stops, it made me go, and I saw it coming a mile away as a comic fan, but still, I gasped like, like, that's how emotional that is.
It was very, very powerful. I don't think there's any denying that. It's my personal favorite scene in the film, and really, it was just, damn, that's powerful, and damn, that's emotional. And then you get the montage of, Peter standing at her grave throughout the seasons. This was my biggest problem with this movie. They skip over Peter mourning. That sucked. I'm sorry, but
it did.
The 5-month time skip is the worst decision they could have made.
I think that there might have been a Gwen scene in there really grieving. I mean, a Mary Jane scene. When Shannon Delaney was in it, Shannon Woodley, I can't think of her name. Sorry, people. Never really cared for her as an actress. Sorry. But when you see that she got cut on a few scenes, I have a sneaking feeling that, because it is kind of abrupt, you go from him crying over her, after she falls and everything, and then you go to the cemetery, and then you go to the montage. I got a feeling that in between those two shots, because they introduced Mary Jane originally was going to be in this movie, that you're going to have the scene from the comics where Mary Jane is there, she's all worried about Peter, and he snaps at her, and she stays, and she lets him mourn. So that way you get the moment of he's crying and he's letting it all out, but it's not over there, because then you get the montage to see he still was affected by it.
The fact that they basically completely skipped over the mourning period was just such a cop-out and such a cheat to me. In my opinion, this movie should have ended with him at the graveyard. That's where this movie should have ended.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that.
It's just this movie should not have ended the way it did because that was over quick.
There was a Spider-Man fan film I saw years ago that somebody did where it was the night that Gwen Stacy died, and it was done in the 80s, and you saw everybody looked like this 80s, and it was really good made for the 80s, but it had a really 80s vibe to it, and they had the Gwen death, and you had the cemetery spot where Peter's there, and he's mourning her, and he's all sad, and he has a one-off line where he goes, "Every day I want to just give up and stop being Spider-Man, but I can't. That's my job. But damn it, I missed you and I need you and I wish you were here." And he's still crying over at the graveyard, but he's saying, "But I have to still be Spider-Man. It's my responsibility. But I miss you, Gwen, and I wish that you were here. And I'm sorry that me being Spider-Man caused you to die, and I regret that every day. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." That's a cool emotional moment. I do agree with you. Here it was silent, and you go for the seasons.
It's just, to me, it sucked because they get him back in the suit so quickly. I mean, I know it's established that 5 months have passed, but for us viewers, that should have been carried over into the next movie. That definitely, him giving up the mantle of Spider-Man because of his guilt over Gwen's death and his depression, that should have been carried over to the next movie.
It would have been like if the comics... Okay, Gary Conway writes it. You have the fall and she dies. And in part one, you go to part two. Norman dies. It's the final battle. Peter's grieving, and you got the Mary Jane panel where she's crying with him, and it's a character development for her. You got the moment with the Harry watching it. You got all this emotional thing. Peter with the line of dialogue of, "I thought watching you die would make it easier for me, but it doesn't. It makes me feel more alone." You get that, and then the next panel is quit being. He's fighting a supervillain.
Yeah, it's just. Come on, why did they skip the morning? This movie should have ended with him in the graveyard. That's where this should have ended. That was my one big problem with this movie,
they were setting up the Sinister Six there, and I get that. And I would have liked the Rhino moment if he was not making jokes about, "Okay, I'll come over there and get you." If they would have just had to be, he realizes that especially with that kid, if he realized, "I have to go there and save this kid. I have to go there and save them. It's my job on Spider-Man. I have to go protect them." And he wasn't quipping. He came there, he saved them, and then you had the final shot of him running, and he hits them. So you get a sense of he's still mourning his girlfriend, and he's not the same happy-go-lucky superhero he was in the beginning. But you get a sense of he's Spider-Man, and he's never going to give up, and he has to continue this fight. Then you can carry on with he's still grieving in the third movie, and you still get the ending of the Rhino suit and setting up the Sinister Six and all that stuff. You still get that. It's the quipping that got me to be kind of like, yeah, that was kind of like you're completely glossing over she died.
Yeah, that I didn't like that at all. And then the Gwen speech motivating him again, I didn't mind that. And I really like this shot where he's sitting on the bed looking at the mask. I really like that shot. To me, that was a classic Spider-Man shot. But I didn't like the fact that his mourning is so glossed over.
They're repeating the same theme they had in the first movie. Because you had the Uncle Ben calls him on the phone, and then he sits in his room at the ending, and Uncle Ben pretty much gives him the power and responsibility speech, kind of, and he's listening to voicemail. They're repeating that scene now with Gwen. That's what it was.
All right. Do we have any other final thoughts on the end of this movie? Because we've basically broken down the entire movie, which I find to be very impressive, that we remembered pretty much every single damn thing in the movie. But any final thoughts on the end of the movie?
Well, the Rhino shows up.
Yeah, he sure is there.
So really happy looking.
I'm hoping that means he has a bigger role in 3 or in the Sinister Six spinoff. That it has to be that they're setting him up for one of those movies, and he's gonna have a bigger role. Because if you have it just end there where he's fighting Rhino, and you don't even get to see a fight where he takes him down, it's just he's gonna hit him with a manhole, and then you begin Spider-Man 3 with randomly him web swinging, and there's no reference to Rhino whatsoever. I'll be kind of ticked. But as of right now, I see it as it's the cliffhanger setting up the next movie.
All right. Really, that's all there really is to talk about with this movie. I mean, we've basically gone through the whole film, and we've covered pretty much everything. So I guess the last thing for us to do is get final thoughts on the film as a whole. So, James, final thoughts on the film as a whole?
There is faults. Like, we went over the faults, all of us. But I feel like the ends justified the means, and that there was, if I had a pro and con, I had to weigh them, there's more that I liked and I didn't like, and the stuff I really liked makes it one of the best Spider-Man movies for me. It's not the all-time favorite like I claimed it was when I first saw it, because I was still fanboying over it, but after my second showing, I more got a sense it's still one of my favorites, and I give it an A, but I still think the first Amazing Spider-Man is the best now, in my opinion.
All right, Ed, final thoughts on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I guess we're finally going to put the nail in your ASM rant coffin.
Didn't like it. There were a lot of points in my notes here, but I didn't get to say all of them, unfortunately. But I'll email them to you if you want.
All right, and then my final thoughts on the film. I'll be quite honest with you. I like this movie a lot. My grade would be an A-, about the same as the first Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, there were problems with it. I mentioned my problems with it. I didn't feel that they were, like, F points worthy. F-worthy points, but you know what? I did like this movie a lot. I felt that it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself while I was watching it, and ultimately, I think they did a very good job with it. Yeah, there were some flaws, but you know what? I think it was a very good movie. A- out of me. Ed doesn't give grades, and A out of James. So, I guess, Ed, so thank you for being on, sir. It was a pleasure having you. Let's pimp some of your stuff. What do you got coming up for us?
Well, I think Godzilla's out in a few days, so I'm gonna go see that on opening day.
Oh, that brings me to another funny theater experience. They showed a trailer for Godzilla in my movie theater, and when that trailer finished, some girl yelled, "That was dumb!"
Really?
Yeah, some girl.
I had a similar experience, but it wasn't when I went to go see Spider-Man, because I didn't get a Godzilla trailer. It was when they first started showing the trailers, like when I went to see Captain America, I got the Godzilla trailer. We sit through it, and I'm a huge Godzilla fan because like your Power Rangers, I'm a huge fan of Japanese tokusatsu and stuff like that. So I saw the trailer, and I'm really pumped for this movie. Oh my god, this looks really good. Somebody yells out, "Yeah, finally he's attacking us! No more Tokyo people running around."
Oh yeah, because Tokyo is totally not relevant to Godzilla.
Yeah.
All right, so Ed, you're part of 2-paragraph minimum. I think that's what your thing is called.
Yes, that's right.
So you do film reviews there. So you got some Godzilla reviews coming up for us. Anything else big coming up for us?
Not particularly much. Just Godzilla at the moment. I'm focusing on. But I did my reviews of Transcendence today and Pompeii. They were very late. I went to see them on the release dates, and I didn't release them. So yeah, you can check those out if you want. And I'll post a link to this podcast when it's uploaded. But other than that, it's just Godzilla for me right now.
All right. And James, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to advertise.
Actually, no. I'm going to bring up something else, because I had a funeral, so I just want to say we missed you, Uncle Dave, and there we go.
All right, there we go.
And also watch Yard Night for movie news.
I knew that was coming.
Well, there's movie news now. I got to pimp out we're done with Amazing Spider-Man 2 Power Ranger movie. That's now movie my focus.
All right. My final words, I guess, advertising, I guess. Check out theamazingspiderman.com, dashes in between every word. We got some cool stuff coming up there. This show, it's already out when you're listening to this show, but hopefully this show doesn't come out too late after we record this. So that's really all we got to say. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Ed hates it. I'd recommend it. But other than that, we will see you guys next week. So see you later.
And I think we should definitely come back to Spider-Man 3, because I think we'll have a nice positive conversation.
Yes, we will.
Yeah,
right.
It's not all I hate you because your opinion is different than mine, so therefore I must destroy you with words. That's some people get over the stuff.
All right. See you guys later.